Choke, no joke. Chicky choke, no joke. Choke, no joke. Chicky choke, no joke. Oh, we in here. We in here. We in here. We in the building. We in the building. We in the building. I told you I got a special guest tonight. I got a special guest tonight. All right. See, my moderators is in the building. Moderators, stay on deck because the haters will be hating. we got a great show tonight, boy. So if you've been following everything that been going on with the Tupac and the Biggie cases and stuff, I got somebody that has done some very, very, very great, extensive work on this this whole thing. Like, I'm a fan of their work. They've done. I'm trying not to give it away. I've viewed their stuff plenty of times. Y'all have as well, you know. But show no joke. I'm gonna play one joint. This joint right here gonna go out to Keffe D. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these dudes like Reggie running their mouth. And so I'm gonna start this to get them notifications out. Make sure y'all share this with everybody. If you're not subscribed, subscribe now. But if you know anybody that love Big, anybody that love Pac, I know my man Big Gene is watching. You know, this is the show you do not want to miss. All right, Choke no joke. Gonna play this one joint for them, and then we get right into it. All right, let's go.
Stay the hell. Don't follow those cats. The niggas that be on the gram. Tell Bobo what they doing. Choke no joke. You know what it is. Yo, y'all niggas better stay DL. Down low. Stop flossing, man. You just want them to just come and get you. Learn from our mistakes, man. That's what this is about. Learn from mistakes. Choke no joke. Let's go. You already know. Make it low. Let's go. My aim was enlightened. Drop jewels on you. You thinking I'm jealous? I ain't got cheddar like you. I'm the dude to a game. You got school. Was a local cat snatch you when I made moves. I'm paranoid and preaching. You was sleeping. Knew you was sneak deep and couldn't see us beefing. Learn from mistake. No show I got cake and press a nigga to rob me. Bitch still my face. Getting out by the fence. Lay up 4 by 8. Ass so busy flossing ain't thinking about Jake. Loose, yapping, wiretapping, videotaping. Your ways in action. Front like times hard. 2-door garage. Ice like Liberage. With no damn jaw. Without a reasonable doubt. You think you Jay-Z with your platinum jewelry. He got a job, B. You shining on doctors with 4 degrees. Laughing cause I'm broke on the streets. Stay DL, BDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Shh, let's go. For beef, we not dolo. For cash, you go solo. Thought I was your man, shot me down like Manolo. Thought I was your partner when you played me was whack. No niggas dust that I wouldn't flip like that. What gives? See your man struggle while you live? That's some shit. Struggling, give you the kicks. Used to stick for gooses. Warm when we pump deuces. Break night in the jacks, trying to see millions like Brewster. You don't act like you used to. I'm the dude. When niggas was friends, you was like, yo, choke, I'm new. I wet you like McLean for those who claim to be pain. The game of death, that's what you get when got game. Ill with automatics, we're never static. You carry at niggas, put one in your cabbage. Fear, don't have it, you fill me with laughter. And OGSD, then I'm original gun clapper. Like Dan Gaddafi, see a mill be Casper. Like Dre the doctor, the math from after. Stay DL, EDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL and Sal. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Yeah, loud, louder than the weed, nigga. Thinking with your pockets, caught the ice locket. She somewhere in Houston, you blew like a rocket. Her seed was bait, through the line she caught it. Gave her all that loot, she couldn't afford it. Frontin' to them bitches, yo, I'm feeling him. Blue puff in your face, daddy, all about Benjamin. Remember me, I'm your friend to the end. Like Chucky, used to slay bitches like Buffy. Thinking why they cuff me, think of the luxuries you had. In the cell with other willies, you brag. I pushed the big Benz with 20-inch rims. Went in the club, Chris for all my men. Sitting across the bar, what's up, star? Back to reality, you back in bars. You chose not to listen, had the H-class blizzard. Knew the rules of the game, played yourself opposition. Stay DL, BDL is L. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL is L. You ain't DL when your name ring bells. Stay DL, BDL is L. You ain't DL when your name ring bells.
Yo, son, yo. So that son is me, yo.
I see.
You ain't noticed me, yo.
I see.
All these diamonds and stuff, yo.
How can I
Fat
not?
diamond ring I got, yo. Yo, what you talking about, yo?
No,
These diamonds, yo. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I got $35,000 on me right now.
Oh my God.
Nigga, I can show you the money right now. I can show you the money.
No, you ain't
Matter of
gonna show
fact,
me
I can
nothing,
show you
man.
my gun, yo.
What?
Yo,
Oh my God.
the gun, yo. Son, man, what's the matter
that-
with you?
put that shit away.
Yo, you acting like you scared or something, nigga, yo.
Yo, stay DL, man.
Down, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Stay
I
DL.
can show the jewels, everything, yo. Everything, yo. Dave.
Oh my God, look at you, man. Yo, stay DL, man.
Choke, no joke. I'm in the building. All right. Now, depending on my guests, it's up to them. Maybe at the end of the show, we might take some calls and let y'all have a few questions, because I'm sure y'all might have a lot of questions for my guests. Now, I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. Y'all know I'll butcher up a name in a second, so bear with me. You know, but many of y'all, like myself, been checking out this podcast on maybe on your Apple phone or whatever, called the Dossier. And the Dossier was it's like a whole series that was done by a guy named Don and Phil Carson on the Biggie murder, on the murder case of Biggie or whatever. These guys did so much research, and the Phil Carson was on the case. But I'm gonna let Don explain it more, because I got Don in the building tonight. You know, so this is gonna get very interesting, because I got a lot of questions and I got a lot of theories in this whole Biggie and Tupac murder. I hope Reggie looking, you know, I know Reggie watching. Reggie watching, that sounds funny. Right? But I got my theories. I want to ask him how he feel about my theories. I'm gonna ask him, you know, about his theories. We're gonna talk about season 1 of the Dossier. And then at the end of the show, to keep y'all watching, we're gonna see what's going on with season 2, which is getting ready to come up in I think like a week or two. And Don's gonna have, you know, address all that. But may I open the stage to Don. I believe it's Sikorski. He's gonna correct me if I'm wrong. But he's in the building, y'all. All right. What's going on, Don?
What's happening? How are you?
Did I pronounce your name right?
You did. Sikorski. You got
There
it
we
right
go.
the first time.
Is that Italian?
That's actually a Polish name.
Polish.
Yeah,
Okay.
my dad is Polish.
Got you. So tell us where you from originally.
So I grew up in Norwalk, Connecticut. When I was 18, I went to NYU, moved to New York City, and lived in New York City for the next 25 years. So I've lived in New York City and LA at times, and Connecticut at times, but originally from Connecticut.
Are you familiar with Old Darien?
I am. Yes, sir.
When I was 14 years old, I live in the Bronx, the Northeast Bronx, Edenwald Projects. They had a program kind of like summer youth, but it wasn't summer youth. And they would pick us up in the Bronx, in Co-op City, and we would go, they would take us up to Old Darien, and I worked at McDonald's up there from 4 to midnight. And it would be a school bus. We had to go over to Co-op City and a school bus to shuttle kids from that area up to Old Darien, Connecticut. And I worked at McDonald's up there.
So you grew up in Co-op City?
No, I grew up in Edenwald in the Bronx.
Oh, you did?
Like
Okay.
10 minutes from Co-op. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So other than that, where you grew up at, tell us about your background.
Yeah, so I went to NYU and was studying journalism, and I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to do documentaries. I didn't know if I wanted to write. At the time in New York City, this is roughly early 2000s, there was always this rumor that there was this secret unit within the New York City Police Department that had the hip hop industry under surveillance. They were called the hip hop cops.
Yeah, I know
So
those guys.
yeah, I went up to B&H Photo. I bought a camera, and at that time, through another friend of mine, I was friends with a guy by the name of Tone Boots. And Tone Boots used to work for Jimmy Henchman.
I know Tone Boots.
Yeah, he worked for Jimmy Henchman. He was a writer at XXL for a period of time. And I told Tone about this idea, and he started to sort of introduce me to people, and I started to interview people. I think one of my first interviews in an office building was Joe Budden about the idea of the hip hop police. To make a long story short, I spent 2 years documenting the story of the hip hop police, and I was able to get the actual book. I sent a request into the Miami Police Department and said, hey, do you have this secret book that they have been compiling on everyone in hip hop? And a woman within the police department FedExed the book. She shouldn't have done that, but I still have it. I could show you, at a certain point if you wanted to see it, but it had everyone in it. All the street guys from the 90s, all of, the artists you know today. And that film was called Rap Sheet, Hip Hop and the Cops. And that really was my film school in a way. And after that, I decided to do a documentary about the war in Iraq. And I looked at a group of Marines who were charged with murder, and they were in jail at Camp Pendleton out in San Diego. And they had framed a murder scene in Iraq at the time. And I followed them through the military justice system. So those really were my, like, for lack of a better word, sort of film school, right? From there, I started to do more projects in television. I was able to get an agent, my career, I've been lucky. I've done everything from documentaries to feature films to podcasts. But I've always had a fascination for a few things. One is the criminal justice system. Secondarily is just cops and robbers, right? Everyone is fascinated with cops and robbers. And I think throughout my career, I've always tried to tell those stories from different perspectives and different angles, specifically with, the stuff we're speaking about, tonight. I think what I've always tried to do is back up the information that I have with documents, right? And being able to source those documents. I think what's happened in our world today is, I'll use a few examples, but I think there's so much misinformation that exists that the truth of what happened kind of gets hidden, right?
Right.
And it happens with a lot of stories. I just did a documentary that came out on Showtime called The Supreme Team. And, I worked with Gerald Prince Miller, and wanted to tell his story. And I saw that in that story too, this mythology that is sort of
Was
created.
this the one that Nas was a part of?
It was, yes. Nas
Okay.
directed it. I was one of the executive producers. And I had, through a dear friend of mine named Jay Griffin, had been put in contact with Prince and had been speaking to Prince on and off for about 5 years when he's, in federal jail.
Mhm.
And Mass Appeal came to the table. Nas came to the table. We were able to get Prince and, Supreme to sort of do the project together, which was important. And so with any of these stories, for me, I think the fascination has always come down, with crime. And then secondarily to that, how crime has defined America, right? Over the course of many years.
Let me ask you about the Supreme Team, Doc, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like it was, for lack of better words, PG opposed to rated R?
Well, you bring up an amazing point, sir. And I think in venturing to do those types of stories, there is a lot of politics that goes into it. There's a lot of behind the scenes control of information. And I will say this, without going into too many people's business, but when you have a project like that, you can imagine with someone like Preem, someone like Prince, some of the people that were in their orbit, some of the people that were, affiliated with them. There was a lot of moving parts to that project. I think your assessment of it is probably correct. What has happened in TV these days, and this, I'm not making excuses for, the PG reference, but places like Showtime and these bigger networks, right? They want you to create these documentary films, but they don't want to give you enough time to really, really spend the time to tell the story properly, So these production schedules, if you think about documentaries, what makes a great documentary is the ability to spend time to research and follow that story over the course of 5 years, 10 years. Making a Murderer, right? It took 12 years to make that documentary. Showtime's, the Netflix of the world now, they want that type of content, but they want to tell you, guess what? You only have 3 months to do it, right? So
that's nice.
certain things are sacrificed creatively and certain decisions have to be made.
Mhm.
And I will say this, secondarily to this, you'll find this interesting, is there's a difference between investigative journalists and television producers. And modern day television making, there is investigative journalism, but it's seeming to be less and less because of the time frames of these things in order to tell the story, So, I mean, listen, I could go on. It's probably another podcast that we could talk about the Supreme Team and what went into it. So I'll leave that at that.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask you no more than that. Anyway, trust me, I got it. I just, but the one thing about it that everybody always says, Bimmy wasn't in it. But I'm pretty much sure that's because that was a Supreme decision, correct?
Well, I will say, recently it came out that Bimmy possibly could have spoken to the police, that I'm not saying anything that everyone doesn't already know that came out publicly recently. Right. I will say, I don't want to say it was a supreme decision. I think there was some other things that went into it that's a bit deeper than that, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, cool. All right. I got it. All right. Only reason I thought Supreme was because Bimmy started being around 50 Cent. And I would assume that if Preem see Bimmy over there with 50, he definitely ain't rocking with him. You know what I'm saying? So that was, you cleared up what.
There was a part of it, and there's a part of Prince's case that is speculated that ties and connects back to Bimmy. Let's put it that way. Okay. And that was something that never, that I will say, and I will not speak for anyone else, but there was a connection that was spoken about behind the scenes in very intricate detail. And I think you have to be careful about those things, right? For many reasons. And so that was something that I always deferred to Prince and Preem around that type of stuff, right? And that stuff and dealing with that stuff is very serious. And it had a profound effect on many lives, right? Living and deceased. So there's a seriousness to that stuff that you have to be careful about.
Right. Okay. Well, we're gonna get off of that then. You're gonna leave that in Jamaica.
Yes, sir.
So explain to my audience what's the Dossier and why did you do it?
Sure. So the reason why I did the Dossier is really simple. At the time when I started to write it, what I felt was that there was so many Big and Pac documentaries, there were so many books, there were so many articles, there's so many YouTube videos that I didn't have any interest in telling those stories because I just felt there was no new information. And I was hired by Fox to do a television show called Who Shot Big and Pac that Ice-T hosted with Soledad O'Brien. Mm-hmm. And as a part of that show and as a producer, I was given many tools. I was given private investigators. I was given lawyers that I could use to find information. And I realized that there was one FBI agent who had never spoken. He had never really been mentioned outside of a few pieces of information I saw in documents. And I also knew that he was still at the FBI at the time that I was doing this show. And I never thought in a million years that Phil Carson, as a working FBI agent, would ever speak to me in a million years. And I had, through the lawyers and the private investigator, I had a number, I had an email address. I sent a blind email that literally said in the email, I know you probably won't respond to this. I know you probably won't speak to me, but I know you worked on this case. Here's my number. And I got a phone call. And if you listen to the podcast, in that very first phone call, and I'll say this now, I recorded that because I didn't think I would ever speak to Phil Carson ever again, right? So here I am, because I'm a little bit crazy, recording an FBI agent as he's calling me because I just wanted to get whatever he was going to say and have it in case I never spoke to him again. And what he said to me is basically, it's weird you contacted me because I'm a few months out from retiring, and man, do I have a story. And I knew at that point that there was a story there. I didn't know what it was, but I had an assumption, right, that this is the FBI. So when you talk about the FBI, you talk about money, You talk about time. You talk about the ability to basically do anything they want in an investigation, more so than the LAPD or anybody for that matter, right? And what I did is I set a meeting with Phil, and I sat down with him, and the story that he started to tell me really shocked me, you know? And it shocked me for two reasons. One, this guy had never said a word to anybody. And secondarily to that, I also knew that this was something new and different. This was not, the same characters. This wasn't the same information Randall Sullivan had. This was not Greg Kading's narrative. This was something that was completely different. And so the thinking is I wanted to tell Phil's story. Now, in the course of telling Phil's story, I was brought all of this other stuff, I was brought documents that no one else has. I was brought all of the documents from the civil trial where Miss Wallace sued the city of Los Angeles, and there's discovery material, right? Which is very important here. Now, mind you, these documents, no one has these documents. The city of Los Angeles has them, right? Miss Wallace and her attorneys have them, and I have them, okay? Because they're under federal seal, which means that I'm not supposed to have them, but I do. And I have them because Sergio Robledo, who worked for the Wallace family, gave me these documents. So now I have Phil Carson, who's telling me A, B, C, and D. And now I have these documents that I'm starting to get from other sources. And I'm seeing a completely different story. And that's really what the dossier is. It's a story, an alternative history around the murder of Biggie based on Phil Carson and these documents that I will say no one else has.
Can those documents ever be unsealed?
So, as far as them being unsealed, I don't have that information, but I will tell you on October 23rd, when I release season 2 of the dossier, I will be releasing all of the documents I've ever collected on the Biggie Smalls investigation to the public and to other journalists for them to completely see all of the evidence that exists inside of the LAPD, to see all of the evidence that existed in Phil Carson's investigation, and to really see the complete picture and story of this massive cover-up, right? And my hope is that other journalists or other people who are interested in this, or people like yourself who have these amazing platforms, can take these documents and start to do more work around this. And I think that's important because
real quick, what's the date again? That is
October 23rd, which is that Monday. I'm releasing episode 1 and 2 of the dossier season 2, and I'll be releasing on a website all of these documents that I've acquired over the last 5 years to the general public. The sealed documents, the documents inside the LAPD, the documents that were in the FBI, unredacted. Okay. I know there's been some serious, documents, or there was some documents that are floating around. A lot of those are redacted. My documents will be unredacted. Outside of, I did decide to maybe, there's a few people in there that I felt were, for lack of a better word, citizens that provided information that don't deserve to be noticed, in a sense, right? And that's really, I'd say, only 3 or 4. The rest will be unredacted. So you'll see names, you'll see who was talking, who wasn't talking. You'll see the evidence that was there. You'll see the narrative of Phil's case You'll see the documents that were handed over to the legal team of the Wallace family, because that is a lot of important information if you want to tell this story, you know? So the purpose of that is, I know there are many people that consistently decide to go out into forums and online and just lie. And I think you know the usual suspects. And
Yeah. Oh, we know Kaiser Soze over here.
yeah. And so I just want people to see this, you know, because I don't need to go on any platforms. I just need people to read the documents. And I also need people to just listen to Phil Carson, because there's something important about Phil that I want to say, that it took me 5 years to realize. And I'll tell this to you is, you know, when you have law enforcement, whoever it is, you know, someone like a Kading, someone like a Russ Poole, name the names. I don't care. Any law enforcement guy that decides, hey, I want to write a book. I want to do a movie. I want to monetize my story, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I realized about Phil Carson is two things. As a journalist, you're always trying to look at somebody and be like, what's this guy's angle? Does he have an axe to grind? Was he released from the FBI because he was a disgruntled employee? Did he have problems with people that you know worked at the FBI, and he's trying to get revenge, right? All those things go through your mind, and you're kind of trying to figure that shit out. What I know now for a fact about Phil Carson is he does not say one thing in a public setting that he doesn't know 100% he can prove true. And secondarily to that, there is nothing that man says that doesn't exist inside of his investigation. And if he doesn't say it, he's not saying it because he believes ultimately at a certain point that FBI will come back around to this case, and he does not want anything to taint that investigation, you know? So Phil is hands down one of the most credible people I've ever met in law enforcement in my whole career. And I stand by everything he says 100%, right? So to give you an example, we can go right there. We know for a fact that Reggie Wright Jr. worked for the FBI as an informant. If you listen to the episode of the Dossier when Reggie is on it, Bill is almost pleading with him, Reggie, just don't go there. Just don't go there, Reggie. Don't say that. You know it's not true. And let's not get into a tit for tat here, because you know I know that you were an informant for my partner while you were at death row. At that time, at death row, Phil and his team had death row under surveillance. Those were the guys that were following Suge around, that had in upwards of I know for a fact, Reggie was an informant. I was told Mob James was an informant at that time. And then there was two brothers that I have to verify and check their names that worked at death row that were also informants. And the FBI team that was looking at all of this stuff was running these informants while they were trying to build a case against Suge. It's a fact. It's not some gossip on a website. It's not some bullshit that people are putting on Instagram. That's just a fact. Okay. So let's take everything that my friend Reggie says with a grain of salt. And I say that he's always been very nice and pleasant to me. Right. But I just consistently don't understand the purpose of having platforms to consistently lie. And I put Mr. Kading in that bunch also, who's just a whole nother animal. And I think, you know, he did it to sell books and to sell a TV show and to sell a movie. And he kind of is too far in now to like come off of it. I hope at some point in Greg's life, he looks at himself in the mirror and he just says like, I want to tell the truth, right? About this stuff. And he does at some point. I think it's got to be hard walking around and living a lie day in and day out. And at this point, why does it matter? No one cares if you would just come forward and tell the truth. You know what I mean? So I think that there's that dynamic. So that was a long answer to why I did the dossier, but
all right, real quick, because I want to get back to Great Kading, but I want to ask about tell everybody what season 1 of the dossier covered. In season 1, what did you cover?
I mean, what we did basically is we had Phil start from day one of his investigation. So what that means is when Phil decides to investigate this, you know, this is a case that is inside the LAPD that they're just ignoring, right? And Phil Carson's story, and the one we tell in the dossier, is Phil's job at the FBI was in public corruption. He had no idea who anyone was in the hip hop music industry. Phil covered dirty politicians and dirty cops. So what Phil does is, one of his early cases is a case called the Rampart Police Scandal, which we talk about in the dossier. And this is about the Rampart division where David Mack and Rafael Perez came out of.
Right.
But the story that Phil tells about Rampart is when they did the Rampart investigation, inside of the Rampart division, there was a list of dirty cops that was like 30 deep. And the bosses at the FBI and the LAPD said, no. You know what? Let's just make a nice narrative and let's take Rafael Perez, let's take, you know, Mac, and make them the bad guys. And what Phil was saying is, that's fine, but you got another list of about 30 cops that are dirty. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted nothing to do with it. So we saw that pattern of LAPD corruption. Within that list of LAPD officers was a guy by the name of Ruben Palmares. And Ruben Palmares, while Mac and Perez were doing their dirt, went into business with the Sinaloa drug cartel as an LAPD cop. And he was ripping drug dealers in South Central. And he would go in with guys that, you know, were tacked up as if LAPD SWAT guys. They would take the money and the drugs. And then he had a woman in the Sinaloa drug cartel that would resell the drugs back out on the streets. And Phil did that case. And he saw LAPD corruption in that case. He's literally sitting at home watching a VH1 special about the murder of Biggie. And he says, this is a pattern. I know what's going on here. And he literally goes to his bosses and he says, Mac, Perez, all of the dirtiness of the LAPD, I want to investigate this. And the bosses at the FBI say, go ahead, Phil. And Phil makes a case. He makes what's called a prosecutive report, which is his investigation, his sources, his informants, and what he wants to take to the U.S. attorney. And when he builds this case, the FBI signs off on it and says, this looks like a case. Let the U.S. attorney prosecute Mac, Perez, Suge. And the U.S. attorney in the city of Los Angeles shut this case down. Okay? So Phil's story is really what he compiled as an FBI agent around the murder of Biggie, which he solved the murder, right? he had access to bank records. He had access to phone records. He had an upwards, and when the documents come out, you'll see he had an upwards of 15 to 20 confidential informants and confidential sources that he was talking to give him information about what exactly transpired. And his work was so good that someone within the city of Los Angeles came to him in a federal building and said, "What are you doing? Do you realize if we do this case, this will bankrupt the city of Los Angeles?" This is a true story.
I believe it.
Yeah, this is all completely true and backed up and verified, not only by Phil, but other FBI agents and documents at the time inside the FBI. So Phil's story, if you really want to boil it down to its essence, is about $1 billion cover-up, right? Because that's what Big probably is worth, arguably. You know, it's a horrific thing to say if someone's life is worth X, but he you know, at the time, I think when Keith Clinkscales of Vibe testified at the civil trial, he put his net worth at 500 million, right? You know, at that time. Yeah. So what the dossier really goes into is this story in a real detail-oriented way, right? But also told by interviews that I did with various characters that also supported Phil's narrative and story. People like Sergio Robledo, who was the Wallace family private investigator. People like Richard Valderrama, who worked for the LA County Sheriff's Office as one of the top gang investigators in Compton, right? And had all of that intel about what was going on with Reggie, what was going on with Suge, what was going on with Mac Perez, all of that shit. Fascinating guy, you know. You have people like Mario Hammonds, who, you know, is also around and is a part of the podcast, Kenneth Boagni. So I started in a strategic way to tell Phil's story, but also bring in all of these other voices that had other information that was really fascinating, you know? Right. And I thought told a pretty updated story about really not so much, well, you know, on that night, Biggie's car was here and blah, 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 but the cover-up of the LAPD and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles and how they were able to pull it off, you know, and get away with it, and still continue to get away with it today.
Yeah, that's very true. And like I said, I was fascinated. I'd be waiting like midnight, whenever it is the next day, I'm waiting for the next episode to drop, because that was the first time I felt like I was getting the real story behind what took place outside of what Russell Poole had done. Then after Russell Poole is this whole crazy ass bullshit ass story comes out that is like ridiculous. Now, getting back to Greg Kading, right? I don't believe nothing Greg Kading say, right? For one, to me, he's a dirty cop. Like the way he goes about getting confessions. Like, let's just go with the first one, right? First of all, let me ask you this question. Do you know, was Reggie the suspect and the notorious B.I.G. or Christopher Wallace murder? Was he a suspect in it? And did Greg Kading go to Reggie and Reggie feed him these theories about Southside killed Biggie and retaliation of Tupac? And then he turned around and said, oh, no, well, you know, it was Poochie. Like, isn't this all being fed from Reggie, allegedly?
Well, it's obvious. Here's what I'll say. it's obvious, and obviously I don't know in terms of a timeline, right? But it is obvious that when Phil starts this investigation and he starts to look into all of this stuff, that Reggie is in the middle of it, you know? And what also I think happened is close to what you're saying, right? Is Greg Kading, you know, when he is doing what he's quote unquote supposed to be doing, which is investigating the murder of Biggie, what he really was doing was he was a pawn by the bosses at the LAPD to control the narrative, to completely control the narrative, because
the lawsuit, right?
prior to doing the Biggie case, Kading had a few cases, specifically a case by a guy by the name of Ramos, who was this big narcotics trafficker in South Central. And Kading fucked that case up so bad that the district attorney wanted nothing to do with him. He basically, from what I've been told, was kind of like, you know, when cops get a reputation or a record where they won't be allowed to testify in court because they've lied, or they've lied in reports, or they've done stupid shit in investigations. Kading got to that level, okay? So I was having a conversation today that what I think he realized was that his time at the LAPD was basically he was out the door, okay? And secondarily to that, he was kind of this pawn that was being used by the LAPD. And he said, you know what? I'm going to write a book. I'm going to make money from being the guy who was sort of put onto this for God knows what reason. I don't know. And
to make the lawsuit disappear.
Yeah. He started operating as if you were going to write a book. And what's important about this is this Keffe D proffer, which is like completely from what, you know, in preparing to come on tonight, I talked to a few people about this because I want to be clear. The Tupac stuff, I'm just starting, or I have obviously a lot of knowledge because they're, you know, somehow intertwined, but I don't have half of the knowledge, you know, that I do in the Biggie stuff, that I do in the Pac stuff. But I have, you know, a podcast that will come out season 3 about Tupac that's called Tupac versus Compton, that will go into a bigger story about Compton and the murder of Pac. Well, some of this stuff will come in. But Greg Kading does a proffer with Keffe D, okay? Now, this proffer that he does with the FBI, okay, as a part of a drug case. It has nothing to do with Tupac. It has nothing to do with the Tupac case at all. And second to that, Greg Kading is not, as an LAPD detective, is not supposed to be investigating the murder of Tupac. Remember, his job is to fucking investigate the murder of Biggie.
Right.
So he brings Keffe D in on a third case here. And I'm sorry if this is getting confusing because it's fucking moronic. And he gets Keffe D to proffer on this thing. And all of a sudden, Keffe D starts telling this story about fucking Tupac and the night Tupac is killed. Well, guess what?
Wait, not necessarily. Now, hold on. Now, I know a little bit more about this case, right?
Right.
So, Greg Kading just like Teresa Swan, his tactic is to catch you dirty to get you to talk, right?
Yeah.
So he ran up on her, she did some fraud or whatever, this, that, and other, and then he writes a statement saying Poochie wrote this statement confessing to killing Biggie, right? And he shows it to her. Now he knows this is complete bullshit because he wrote it. And she goes, oh yeah, that's what Poochie said. Yeah, everything Poochie said is the truth. Right there, you should have known she's full of shit because you made it up. He took that as a confession and told the world, oh, Poochie killed Biggie. Oh, because Teresa Swan confessed to the statement that, nigga, that statement is fucking fake, bro. You made it up. So what did she confess to that never happened? Because Poochie never wrote and never confessed to it. That came from Reggie. Reggie told him, oh, Teresa Swan was going to see Suge on lawyer visits. Suge could have been getting some pussy. Excuse my French, pardon my French. He could have used that opportunity to have sex, right? Not necessarily draw up a plan to kill Biggie, like he knew Biggie was going to be in town and knew where Biggie's and he's in jail, right? So I don't believe that. But once again, and my theory is Reggie and whoever allegedly took it upon themselves to kill Biggie for whatever. Now, I don't know if you know, there's interviews where Big is dissing Pac, where he's rapping at the radio station. He's doing, I think, Long Kiss Goodnight, which is a diss to Pac, right? So outside of him running around LA is already disrespectful to maybe those people on the death row side, right? But then again, they could be smart and just want to use it as retaliation. Second, right, which you may never seen. I don't know if you ever seen, you was watching back then, but on Rap City, when you see Biggie sitting in the park with Joe Clair, that was Biggie's last interview, and it aired that Saturday. During the day, it aired, right? Joe Clair asks Biggie in that interview, so, you know, Tupac saying that, you know, he has sex with Faith. And Big replies, if he did, he won't no more. I'm like, no, Big, no. You can't say that in Cali. That night, his ass was dead. That show, now BET, they cut that shit out. When he got killed that night, they never aired it again. But I think that was also fuel on the fire to make whoever wanted to kill Big that night really like, yo, we gonna get this motherfucker. This is like, he already up at the radio station. He already running around LA. Now this motherfucker shows with no remorse and says, yeah, well, Tupac fuck Faith, he won't no more. Like that nigga's dead. And the way he said it was so cold, I know that pissed him off. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, right? So what I see is that Biggie may have happened because they was pissed off that he was running around like that, or it may have been a hit, right? Because here's the other side of it. I don't know if Puffy was ever a suspect, but they was beefing at the time, Big and Puff. Big Dick was on his Life After Death was his last album, his obligation. He already went and did a deal with Junior Mafia and didn't do the deal with Bad Boy or Arista. Allegedly, Clive Davis was mad at Puff for letting Big go somewhere else and do a deal. Then there's the argument that Gene Deal witnessed between Puff and Big that day, where now all of a sudden Puff doesn't take Gene with him. He leaves him with Big, and he takes D-Rock with him. Now, there's alleged Reggie says that Puff was trying to hire him while he was out there. I talked to Gene about that. He said it was Paul. Paul did hire one of the Death Row or the guys that was doing security from Death Row, but he was from Long Beach originally, an off-duty cop that was in the circle of the Bad Boy during that time. Now, Big and Puff had an argument because Big lied to Puff about Little Kim writing her own music, and he done a publishing deal with him. So Big was cutting Puff out of a lot of money by writing for Kim and seizing on them and telling them that they was writing their own stuff. And Gene exposed that to him. So that day, he's like, yo, tell me you did it. If you hear Gene talk, they was arguing, then Puff leaves. then you got the, that was the last time I think they was around each other and it was bad blood. But nobody really looks at it that as maybe a possible theory. And then, Puff seeing the money that was made off the death of Pac. And then it's like, okay, why the fuck are y'all in LA? Everybody in the world know this is a fucking bad idea, but Puffy. And then you lead them to a party. Keffe D and them approach you at the party like, yo, we here, what's up? And you tell Keffe D and them, nah, yo, the feds is on us. We don't need no protection. Yo, here, take these 3 bottles and y'all go over there. Yo, don't come around us. Why all the time you in LA or California, you using these niggas for protection? Now tonight, you already comfortable. You running around the party, this, that, and other. You ain't scared. Mac and Perez is in the party. Like, people were seeing them. They said they was there. I'm gonna ask you about that later, right? And then y'all leave. All of a sudden, you don't ride with the star. You're not in the car with Big. Y'all in separate cars. And then Big gets killed. And then Puff goes on to be the super mega star, right? That's just one of my theories. I'm not saying Puff did it. I'm just saying to everybody in the world, why the fuck was y'all in LA at that time with that climate? And then Big going on the radio, this, that, and the third. I don't know. But
well, it is interesting. I've been seeing as of late, and I find this interesting, is it seems people are saying certain things. I think 50 just said something. I saw something else, about what you're speaking about. So it seems like, the stuff you're talking about is very interesting, right? And it, with this arrest, it seems like people are almost more comfortable talking about maybe things for some reason they didn't want to talk about before. But I've just seen that as of in the last week or so, but it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, because that's been my theory for a long time now. Allegedly, maybe Puff could have hired them to take Big and lure him there. Like, it's, it made no sense for nobody in the world why this motherfucker was in LA. Why he didn't go to London. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and you just comfortable with it? Like, and the only reason Big was there because he was broke. He needed the money. He was broke. If he was up, he wouldn't have went over there, I don't think. Say he didn't want him to go over there. Nobody wanted him to go over there. And then to tape the interlude, like, yo, Big, we gotta go to Cali. Huh? Cali? Like, you documenting this shit? Like, what's going on here? Right? So I'm just saying that is just a whole other theory to me. Because I don't see Suge taking a chance from jail trying to orchestrate Biggie getting killed when he knows that his own people tried to kill him and Tupac. He know Biggie ain't got nothing to do with it, right? So my other theory in the Tupac thing is this. Reggie was fired by Tupac. David Kenner was fired by Tupac prior to Vegas, right? The paperwork is out there. You can see it, right? Suge said he found out that 30-40 million was stolen from him. He found out that David Kenner was getting $100,000 a month that he didn't know about, and Jimmy Iovine was allegedly getting a kickback from that. Suge says Perez and Reggie on your thing were good friends. Sharitha, Reggie, and Perez was great friends, right? He said they wanted to take him out and take the company. Now, Reggie disarmed his security, Michael Moore, Frank Alexander, and the other 20, whatever security was. They had a meeting, and I know this for a fact. Suge didn't even know nothing about that. He didn't know they had a meeting where they was supposed to have no guns. It was like, who's bodyguard Tupac without a gun? Tupac, right? So now you got that situation, right? Where they go into Vegas. Now remember, prior to Vegas, you got the MTV Awards, right? After the MTV Awards, Snoop goes on the radio and tells Angie Martinez he don't got beef with Bad Boy or Biggie or Puff. That caused the divide in Death Row right there. Because after that, Tupac and Suge had an argument. He said, I'm out. You can have all the rights to Machiavelli. That's Michael Moore's testimony. Michael Moore's testimony is he got between them when let them fight because he was still bodyguarding Pac. Going to the jet, Pac says, he tells one of the guys, I'm a dead man walking, right? Snoop comes, get on the jet. Suge and them told him, yo, you can't bring no boys. You got to go by yourself. Snoop tells his story where he goes and grabs a knife in the thing, get on the jet. When they get off the jet, he asks Pac, yo, you going to the Tyson fight? And he tells him, Pac just walks away, never talks to Snoop again, right? Now, right there becomes the divide in Death Row. Probably be prior to that. Because remember, Suge caught Kevin Gaines and Sharitha Knight in Vegas. They was coming out on the day. He rolled up on them, and they got in their car. He asked for a ride, jumped in their car with them. Urban legend says he took their ass out to the desert and stripped them naked and left them there, right? She tells it something different, right? But he followed her out of Vegas. After that, he went to our house, kicked the door, and boom, looking for Kevin Gaines in the house. That there sparks the beef between him and Kevin Gaines, right? Now, Suge says, Perez and them been trying to kill me, right? You listen to Reggie talking, he say, oh, you know, Sharitha, she gonna be mad at me for saying this, but Kevin Gaines and them, those are her friends. The Perez and Magino, those are Kevin Gaines' friends. She gonna be mad at me. So he's telling it, putting it on her. But there's the separation. Death Row was one, but then it broke. It's nightlife management, there's Death Row, but there's the marriage, right? They're not divorced. So if something happened to Suge, she benefits greatly. And she already manages Snoop, the Dog Pound Rage, Nate Dogg, and whoever, right? And then she's over here with Kevin Gaines and his people, right? Kevin Gaines got killed in her car, right? Boom. On this side, you got Suge and, on her side, you got Snoop, the Dog Pound, the Crip side, right? On this side, you got the Pyrus, the Mall Pyrus, and you got Death Row over here, right? Now you got Pac over here, you got Suge over here. Pac comes to Death Row, he takes over the shit. Now, if you go look at Dad's interviews, even before Pac got killed, they said they wasn't fucking with Death Row no more. The Snoop side, right? So now it's really a Bloods and Crip thing, right? In my opinion, right? So now going to Vegas, the plan is already set, right? Ken is fired, Reggie's fired, right? Suge just found out he's fucking being stolen from, right? Let's kill these motherfuckers, allegedly. Sharitha owns the company now, and Reggie and David Kenner run it, which they ran it anyway when Suge went to jail after the violation, right? So the plan didn't go allegedly, the plan didn't go correct. Pac got killed, but Suge did. So she didn't, but if you let her tell it, I could have took the company anytime I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I could have took the company. How? Like he wasn't going to fight you in court for his company. You think that you go file for a divorce? You just going to take his record label? How he supposed to financially take care of his kids and other obligations? They're not giving you the label, lady. Stop it. right? So what happens is that in my head, that plan fails. Now, when they get back to LA, remember, oh, here's the other thing. Reggie calls his father and the grand jury, he testifies that he called his father the same night and told him Southside shot Tupac and Suge. How the fuck he knew that? For all these years, nobody knew. Reggie called his father the same night, and then his father called the other officers and told them to spread the word. Southside just shot Tupac and Suge. The war is coming to Compton. I feel like they should be locked up for inciting a war. How did there's nobody convicted, nobody's arrested. Tupac, then they ain't even fucking make it to the hospital in the ambulance. And you calling your father telling him Southside did it? How did you know that the day of, Reggie? Now, did you allegedly hire Southside to pull this whole stunt off with Orlando Anderson and everything and hired them for the hit to what you call it? Because why was security disarmed? Suge wasn't notified that the security was all disarmed, right? Why were there no communications? Why didn't Frank or Michael Moore, the main two security guards for Tupac, or anybody have their nextels? But Reggie had one, and somebody else, the spotter, allegedly, right? And then somebody else said, don't talk over it. Now, remember, Michael Moore got him after on Reggie's walkie-talkie, as soon as Suge and them got shot. Then somebody comes over and says, hey, don't talk on the radio. He says that was a white voice. Could have been the lawyers. Who knows, right? But Michael Moore didn't want to say who it was, but you could tell he knew who it was, right? After that, you got the shooting. You got Reggie call his father. His father called the other cops in Compton, right? And now the war is on in Compton. What do you think about everything that I said? Because I just went all over the place.
Yeah, I think two things. I think in this story, I've always felt that Reggie and David Kenner are the most interesting, dynamic, and characters in all of this. And it also is interesting that in Reggie specifically, not so much Kenner because he's way smarter, is Reggie has done everything in his power to put forth misinformation everywhere he could, you know? And he's also managed somehow, some way, I think we know why, even though he's been involved in criminal schemes for a very long time, to stay out of jail, right? Even in the drug case, that he was the federal drug case that he was involved in, he was moving massive amounts of narcotics. So it's obvious he became an informant in that case. It's obvious he was working as an informant for the FBI at a certain point. And David Kenner is arguably one of the smartest, sophisticated lawyers in Los Angeles history, and still is around to this day, So, what I will say is I think you've been around a very long time and have a lot of relationships and have spoken to a lot of people. So I think in all these things you're saying, there's a lot of validity. I just wonder at what point does the charade end with Reggie and a lot of this stuff,
Did
I don't know.
I showed you a clip where Mom James said that they had cops that worked at death row off duty that was robbing banks.
Yeah, I mean that's like, that's undisputed at this point, you know.
Right.
And it was Gaines, it was Mac, it was Perez, it was possibly Durden. Um, they're all there. The schemes they had is a little bit hazy, but there's no doubt all of those guys were floating around. And obviously, you had the bank robbery by Mac that he got caught for, but who knows the other one? I was told by an LAPD detective there was like 10 other robberies that had gone on in a period of time that they could not figure out. So, um, all this stuff is immensely fascinating. But I think, sadly enough, with this new case in Vegas, the truth yet again will be buried. And now it gets to be buried in this official way, right? Where before it was being buried online and in, for lack of a better word, YouTube videos. But now, right, you have an official government entity that's buying lock, stock, and barrel the Reggie Wright manufactured narrative around all this stuff. And I haven't read all of the grand jury testimony. I know someone who has it and has. And I mean,
I have it. I'll send it to you if you want.
yeah, it's just from what I hear. I mean, Reggie is in the grand jury, right?
Yeah.
And
He wasn't even
and
subpoenaed.
yeah, exactly. So it's just bizarre how a lot of this stuff and maybe hopefully it isn't, but it could yet again be the truth could yet again be buried, and sort of in the eyes of the Vegas PD put to bed around whatever story they're sort of taking from I don't know who, I think Reggie and some weird people that were like around that night that they're using. If this goes to court, um, I'd be curious to see how they actually even build this case, because it just seems
They
really,
building it all over fucking murder rap. Everybody, you could tell people was coached. Like they all going in there in the grand jury and they all testifying, but they all spitting the narrative around the murder rap thing. It's the most fakest thing you ever seen in your life.
yeah,
It's nonsense.
yeah,
Let me
yeah, and I
ask you,
mean,
you know if Greg Kading and Reggie had a relationship prior to Kading having the Biggie case?
that's a great question. I would have to assume yes, because I just feel Kading was floating around that world over there. When he makes that Ramos case, I believe that's in South Central Los Angeles. I'd have to double check. I wouldn't doubt it. As someone like Kading, I would think if he was involved in narcotics over in that part of the woods, it's not that big of a, as Compton's not a big place, right? It's 10
Right.
square miles. So, and if he was working, serious cases, which I believe he was, yeah, no doubt I think they could have known each other prior to all the, nonsense.
Did you ever see the video of the MGM Grand surveillance video where allegedly there's somebody that looked like Reggie walking Orlando out and Reggie Sr. allegedly looking on from the side, then allegedly Kevin Gaines, and he goes over to the guy who got on the tank top with the ponytail, he passed him on the back, and then you see that guy come walking out, and it's like they all around, and they like, did you see that? Is that them?
I've seen the video. I'm not sure. Again, I would not be surprised, Kevin Gaines is another fascinating character, right? You know, I've had people tell me they're 100% sure he was in Vegas, um
There's almost I can't remember what it is, but I think that is a fact. I think he was either 2 days before or 2 weeks before the fight. He was listed to be out there, and maybe I think 2 weeks after. Yeah, he was out there, and they say allegedly Perez was out there that week too.
I've heard that. I've gotten more information about Gaines being around than Perez being in Vegas. Again, these guys had money. You know, they had the means to party and travel. They love to fuck women. They love to party and so why not, right? At that point, you know, you're sort of untouchable, at least in their minds, right? They were cops. They were dirty. They were moving drugs and God knows what else, robbing banks, right? So around death row, partying and
Let me ask you, I got a great question. In that paperwork, do you have photos as well?
So there is some there's a few things. Yeah.
The ones I'm two in particular. The one where Gene Dale, Amir Muhammad, and Puffy is in one shot together, and the other one where Mac and Perez and the chief, what's his name? Daughter?
Michelle Parks.
Yes.
So the story behind the photos, there is some what appears to be printed photographs of surveillance video. Do you understand what I mean? Because there was video all over the Peterson that night. Okay. That's what people don't understand. There was video cameras, surveillance cameras all around the Peterson Automotive Museum.
So how they don't know? Huh? So how they don't know shit?
They do. A lot of that video was destroyed. You could see, you know, and Phil Carson tells an incredible story. When he was doing his investigation, he goes to LAPD robbery homicide, and the idea is detectives at LAPD were supposed to share information with Phil and show him a number of things. And they went in a room and they brought out the murder books of what the investigation was at that time. And Phil says in those murder books was that picture you talk about, the Gene, Amir, Puffy. There was a lot of photos. And Phil's looking at this stuff. He's taking notes. He's talking to Steve Katz, who at the time was the lead investigator. And he's kind of in shock that there are so many of these photographs that are there. Right. And he's sort of taking a mental note. And he says to this, he told me this, he says he still regrets not taking copies of the photos on that day. But he, at that time, this is like the beginning stages, he didn't think that the LAPD was that sinister. So he took mental notes of all of this stuff. And the plan was that there was so much to look at. He was going to come back in a few days and continue to review all of this material. When he comes back, a lot of those photos are gone and no longer in the murder books. The photograph of Mac Perez and Michelle Parks is talked about in the dossier by a guy by the name of Xavier Hermosillo, who he originally was a journalist, and then he became sort of a community activist that was very heavily involved in the LAPD. And he sat on boards of rights hearings, which was hearings that if you were a cop and got in trouble, you went in front of this board for them to decide if, you did something wrong. Xavier saw the photo. The photo exists, but again, where that photo is, I have to imagine that was also destroyed or put in a drawer somewhere for no one to see.
Right. Now, with Greg Kading secretly recording Keffe D, now is that illegal or is it just unethical?
From what I've been told, it's a number of things. One, at that time, per LAPD policy, as a plainclothes detective, you are not supposed to record proffer sessions. That's number one. Number two, the FBI still to this day does not record proffers with audio or video. In a traditional proffer session at the federal level, you'll have a number of agents, you'll have the United States attorney, and the agents take notes. They take those handwritten notes and they go back and write the report of the proffer, which is completely insane to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no guarantee of truthfulness, because it's all what that agent writes. Well, that agent could write some things, he cannot write other things. Those proffer notes are able to be subpoenaed in court, and I've seen that happen, which is a joke, because you'll get these fucking notes with these FBI agents have written and you can hardly read them, right?
Mm-hmm. Like
which just think about that. So again, and I talked with someone today about this. This proffer of Keffe D is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. It doesn't make any sense. The proffer he gave was on a drug case that had nothing to do with Biggie, had nothing to do with Pac.
Tupac.
It had to do with some other drug case that Keffe was involved in. In that proffer,
hold on. Do you know what that was? Let me tell you what that was.
Yeah.
Greg Kading and sent Devontae Dirty Dog, whatever his last name was, I think Lee.
Yeah, I was given the name today. I can't. Yeah.
I think he got caught with some, and they had him go and buy a key of cocaine and some PCP from Keffe D. And then when they went and he made the sale, they showed up to Keffe D house and said, "Oh, we just got you. You just sold these drugs, but we need you to just get your lawyer, come downtown." Now, allegedly, I believe it was Reggie that told Greg Kading everything about the Vegas situation. Because if you listen to Keffe D tell it, he didn't tell him shit. He went to the meeting with his lawyer. He says it. He says they pulled down the board and they showed him, "Yo, you was in this car was here, you was with so and so and so and so." He said they knew everything. They knew everything about the Pac murder. And that's what made him. He said, "Yo, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna cop out to the drugs. Whatever the first offer they give me, I'm taking it." And they was like, "No, motherfucker, no, you're not. No, you're not. We got you on several murders." So they tried to go at him with the big murder. And he like, "Man, get the fuck. I was there, nigga. Fuck is y'all talking about? What are you talking about? I was there." So that theory was gone because allegedly, remember, Reggie is the first suspect in the civil suit for the Biggie murder. So I'm really thinking that and then if you listen to Greg Kading, Reggie's the one that told him about Poochie. So if they said we got you on several murders, which was Biggie and Pac, Reggie allegedly fed that to Greg Kading, told him the whole. Remember, Reggie knew who shot Suge and Pac. Suge and Pac the night of, right? Some reason he knew it. He wasn't at the MGM Grand and he wasn't at the shooting, but he knew who did it to call his father, right? So Keffe D said they knew everything, so that's why he took the proffer. And then Greg Kading says, because somebody asked him, said, "So what happened? Why did Vegas pick him up?" Because Vegas also gave Keffe D a proffer too. He went to Vegas They interviewed him. They gave him a proffer, and Kading said they gave him a proffer, and the reason they didn't arrest him is because they wanted to get something bigger, and they tried to go and get Zip.
Listen, this proffer that he did just makes absolutely no sense to me. The more I try and understand around it, the more it just doesn't. Again, I even said today, the story as I know it, it's almost like Kading did that proffer so that he could write a book. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a guy who, because again, he's there. He's trying to investigate the murder of Biggie. Why is if you're investigating a murder of somebody and you have the power of the district attorney who you answer to for the case to prosecute the case, right? You don't walk into a proffer and go, well, yes, I'm here to investigate the murder of Biggie. Well, let's talk about this drug case over here. Let's talk about the murder of Tupac. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Right. This does not add up. Why I would make the case it was recorded illegally. It was recorded because Kading knew at some point he was going to write a book or whatever the fuck he was going to do. And to your point, I wouldn't doubt if he was given information by whoever, Reggie or add up the list. And it's just all weird. It's just all bizarre to me. And now, but again, to my point, you know, I see Kading quoted in all of these articles in mainstream publications as if he's an expert. Right. And it's a joke. It's a real joke.
He wasn't even a federal officer. He was just LAPD.
No, he was LAPD, and you know, that's the other thing. You know, if FBI was there, this was a task force. So I asked somebody today, well, was this an LAPD proffer or was this an FBI proffer? Was this a federal proffer? Right? Well, whose proffer was it? And I'd have to go back and really, you know, look at the proffer. I don't even know if it exists, meaning like a printed piece of it of what the intention was. Right. It, in my experience, you know, I did a few cases, I've sat in on federal trials. One of my best friends was a defense attorney in the Eastern and Southern districts. Mm-hmm. And, you know, proffers are interesting things, but they're usually used around a particular case, you know, and sometimes U.S. attorneys want to, you know, if you're a famous fucking mob guy, they want to know, well, did you kill this guy or who's this guy or who's that guy, right? But it's all around focused in on one thing for the most part. I don't know. This just continues to get weirder and weirder. And I don't think anything having to do with the proffer will be allowed in that Vegas case. Right? That's at least what I've been told. Because I feel any prosecutor would look at that and be like, this is fucked from the beginning, so I can't bring that into a court of law.
But what about the Vegas proffer? He got one in Vegas too.
I haven't heard about that one. Is that
Kading said that on a recent interview? I'm gonna send it to you because they asked him. They said, "So why didn't you gave him a proffer? What happened with Vegas?" He said they took him to Vegas, and Vegas gave him a proffer. And then they wanted to get a bigger fish.
Meaning whoever else was involved, I guess.
Yeah, Zip. They tried to get him to go buy drugs from Zip, and Zip didn't go for it. And then their whole shit was done after that, for the most part.
And what's your analysis of Zip and all of this?
I mean, I know Zip was a street dude, but I don't see, for one, I don't believe Zip had a gun in Vegas. Like, You telling me these dudes from LA go to Vegas all the time? They ride with their pistols all the time. They don't need to get a gun from no Zip, who's all came from New York, probably flew in and met Mike Tyson, and then he's riding around with Mike Tyson. What do you need a gun for? Like Mike Tyson got security or whatever. He lives out there. Why would Zip need to have a gun in Vegas and he's all the way from New York? Don't make sense to me.
Especially at that time where if you got caught with a gun, I mean, the prison time was just ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, like, come on. Like, why would he need a... He went to a fight with Mike Tyson. Imagine he probably was riding in a car with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
As close as they was. Like, I don't see Zip needing no gun, for one, to be like, and you tell me a whole caravan of gangbangers from LA and none of these niggas got a gun? Come on, man. Get out of here. From LA, from Compton, a 3-4 hour drive, they need to go get a gun from somebody from New York. Yeah, right. Please. Come on. I don't believe that. No. What else I want to ask you? I think I asked you everything. Hold on. Oh, why wasn't Phil Carson allowed to testify in the civil trial?
Well, that gets back to what I stated before, is he was approached by an official within the city of Los Angeles and said, if you testify, it basically could bankrupt the city. And there was a decision that was made that was out of Phil's hands, that was way above, let's say, his pay grade, that did not allow him to testify. They wanted him to testify. He can still testify if there was another civil proceeding. But what you have to understand in the city of Los Angeles, in the power structure of that city, obviously the city officials, meaning the city attorneys, obviously the powers that be within the LAPD are way more powerful than the local FBI field office of the FBI. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That means basically, if this case is solved and it shows that LAPD officers was involved, that they're gonna have to pay out the money. So as long as they got to pay out the money, this case ain't gonna never get solved.
Pretty much, unless there was some form of, a deal that was made, where maybe the city at a certain point, comes to the table and says, well, we'll pay you X, right, amount of money, and sort of admit, what was done. But, I think what will happen in season 2 of the Dossier is I'll start to get into a little bit more about what could happen, or some of the answers around Perry Sanders and whether the family can go back after the LAPD, because obviously I think what's happening, and this, is they're seeing what's going on with the Tupac case and they're going, well, what's going to happen here, right? And even though I think, as even though there is some bullshit that's going on in the Tupac case, I think there's a lot more hard evidence in the Biggie case than there is in, let's say, the Tupac case, right? So, you know, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I'm trying to get answers on, and that swirls around, you know. Do know that recently FBI agents have been re-looking at the Phil Carson's work and trying to figure out what can we do here? How could this work? You know, if
Tell
we were
them
to
to look
build.
at my channel. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, listen, you laugh, but you know, federal agents are smart. They're using all of these tools now. When people go on shows and talk about stuff, and
Right.
you know, they really are.
I guarantee you. See, this is the one thing I don't know. Did Reggie get immunity from Greg Kading in the Biggie case?
I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Is it possible that Reggie can have immunity?
Not at this point. Well, listen, I think whatever deal that was struck back then, I don't think would even be valid if there was some form between Kading and Reggie. Kading, his reputation and what he did and all the fuck ups. I just can't imagine a prosecutor looking at all that stuff and wanting anything to do with whatever Greg Kading did. You know what I mean? They would almost like wall that off and be and say like we don't even want to talk about this guy as it relates to this case, you know, at a certain point. And I always like to say this. In the Biggie case in particular, Phil Carson at the FBI, highly decorated, amazing agent. Richard Valdemar of the LA County Sheriff's Office, one of the top gang investigators in all of the country. Sergio Robledo, highly decorated LAPD officer, South Division homicide investigator, beloved at the LAPD, right? Those three, and including Russ Poole, who I don't care what anyone says, was a highly decorated LAPD robbery homicide detective. You have four respected homicide and gang investigators saying, well, here's the information. And then you have Greg Kading over here. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, do the math here, guys. Do the math. So all of those guys who seemingly did not know each other and all had storied and very respected careers within their institutions, not were let go because they fucked up a case or they and like to your point, manipulated witnesses for their own gain to close cases or to close informants. All of those people came to the same conclusions. And then Greg Kading's running around over here and he's got the answers. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break.
Right. Because nobody that I know believes Greg Kading nonsense. Like his police work is so shitty. I hate to say it that way, but if you gotta get an arrest by putting a gun on somebody or stashing some coke in a car, like you're not doing good police work to me. And he's the equivalent of that, especially with that Teresa Swan thing. And if you listen to Keffe D, he came to him and told him everything that happened in the Tupac thing. Everything. Like, how did you know? Where did you get that from? You wasn't there. And we know where you got it from. Because Reggie's the one that told you about Teresa Swan in that whole BS. And then Southside did it. Reggie, he's on record saying that. Reggie, that boy, I hope the way that he's sitting there trying to set up Keffe D and stuff, I hope that he get what's coming to him. Because to me, in my opinion, he had everything to do with that Biggie murder allegedly. He talked too much and he gave out too much information to down to him and Marv James talking about, yeah, man, we had cops up there that robbed banks. Like you got him, you got Marv James as a witness that they was up there. You got C Style that was a witness that they was up there. You got Joe Cool who was a witness that they was up there. You got Layla that's a witness that they was up there. You got Jimmy Iovine that was a witness up there. You got Trady from the East Siders that's a witness that they was up there. It's so many people that put Mac and Perez at death row. And every time Reggie, oh, we don't know them. I don't know them. I don't know. You're the only person that don't know them, but everybody else up there.
You know what a funny story is, and I'll give you a little piece of season 2, is when Reggie did his interview with Phil in season 1, he basically said that David Mack never even grew up in Compton.
And then he's on YouTube telling his whole story. Oh, he dated Flo Joe, and he from.
He said that. Now, I talked to David Mack. David Mack is in episode 1 of season 2 of the Dossier. And he says he has this funny exchange with me, and he's like, well, don't you want to talk about me growing up in Compton? That's what he says. And so just put that into context. Here is Reggie again saying, Mac, I don't know, no idea. The guy didn't even grow up in Compton. Then I talked to David Mack, and David Mack states, well, what don't you want to know about like my life as a kid in Compton? And I just started laughing because it goes to show you again, at a certain point, man, maybe when he's an old man, he'll just stop lying. What? Why do you still go on the internet? For what? Just go away. Like,
I hope he Keffe D himself.
Go somewhere, because what is the point? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. What does he still talk about? Does anyone go on those guys' show and just ask him and Mob why they were FBI informants? Has anyone just done that?
No, they don't believe they are. They don't believe it. It's like, y'all really believe that Reggie is sitting out here doing all this shit and he's not an informant. But he stays on the internet calling everybody a rat. And he calls Sugar Ray, everybody's a rat. Everybody's a rat. And he's Splinter. He's the king rat.
He worked for the FBI, and that's a fact. There's no argument. Someone should go on whatever shows those guys go on and say, hey, I'd really love to hear how you became an FBI informant. I would love to hear that story. Can you tell me that story? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I would just just tell the story. I even know the first name of the handler who was Reggie's handler at the FBI. I'm not going to say the person's name because he doesn't want to be known publicly.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but so what? Like, why don't you tell that story? Because you know what? That's an interesting story, right? If you were an informant for the FBI while you were at death row, how interesting a story is that, right? These guys want to tell all of these stories. Why don't you tell that story at this point? You're old men.
Right. I would love to hear that shit. That would be so
I think actually that would be the most fascinating podcast that they've ever done, or whatever YouTube video.
Yeah,
would be the origin story.
How many people he set up? Got caught with guns.
I mean, listen. Yeah.
Remember he said
it would be amazing to hear how they kept that from Suge, how they kept that from the people in their lives, and why. I would be curious, and hopefully at some point they can tell that story.
That would be amazing.
And an even better story would be finally for Greg Kading to write another book about why he made up murder rap and explain how great would that be? That would sell more copies than his first book.
Trick the world.
and no one actually in this day and age would care. He'd probably be richer and he'd be more famous. He'd be like the dumb LAPD detective that made up a story, and then guess what? I'm going to tell you the real story. And in this day and age, that would actually fucking sell in the crazy world we live in.
It would definitely sell because these people are goofy enough.
And if they were smart, they should all just get together and tell the truth, and then they'd really have a story. You know, that would be fun.
I would love to know when they became FBI informants. But next time I speak to Suge, I'm gonna ask him, did he know that? But remember, Reggie testified against Zeke in the Bunchy gun case. He testified that he saw Zeke with the gun a week before the Bunchy got caught with the gun. And then he said that he testified that Zeke threw the gun to Bunchy's feet to help get Bunchy off the case. Oh, Reggie.
And yeah. I say that too. Like, Reggie has always been very nice to me. He really has, you know.
Well, he ain't gonna be nice to you no more after this.
No, I mean, this has already been in the public. I'm not, you know.
Now that you came on here, he's gonna just try to discredit you. Oh, Don, up there on Choke Show. Yeah, I don't know why y'all listen to him and Phil Carson. Watch, you'll see. Just give it a week. Next Sunday, or he gonna do an audio joint. It's coming. Yeah, you're gonna have him very uncomfortable in that pamper. Yeah. All right. Well, tell outside of David Mack, what can we expect in season 2?
Well, in season 2, along with releasing the documents, I really I have to say this unless something crazy happens. For my final time, I really wanted to put forth all of the evidence in these documents that exist that shows the LAPD cover-up. And so I tell that story. And second to that, I went back and I pulled every single article that was ever written by Chuck Phillips at the LA Times. And I am going to tell the story of Chuck Phillips reporting on Tupac and Biggie, and the story of Chuck Phillips, the LA Times, and how they contributed to the cover-up of both Tupac and Biggie. So that's what season 2 will go in. I think because of what is going on with the case in Vegas, I will also periodically be doing some episodes surrounding that. But the core of it will be, for the final time, is just to put forth all of this evidence. And then unless, you know, something big happens, I feel after this, I'm not sure what else to report, you know?
Right. Do you what do you feel? Wait, I'm 2 questions.
Yeah.
What do you feel is going to happen in this Keffe D case? Hey, let's say they can't use any other interviews that he did. What evidence do they have to convict him?
As far as I can tell, they don't have any evidence. I mean, the people that supposedly were in the car are dead. I just don't understand what the case is, other than him, I guess, going on DJ Vlad and writing a book. You can make a case. He made that up to sell books. I don't know. But that's kind of, you know, in a court of law and a jury. I think this is a hard case. I think if he's smart, he has a really good lawyer and he goes to trial, and I somehow believe he could probably beat the case, right? He's just got to convince one person in the jury that the story is a little bit off, weird, and bizarre, and we both know that's probably pretty easy, you know.
Yeah, because
If you,
he contradicts himself in a lot of the interviews.
and I mean, listen, if I'm Keffe and I'm sitting wherever he's sitting, I'm making up the tallest tale I could possibly come up with at this point, right? I mean, why not? I mean, like let's bring in, you know, everyone else to the party and make this a spectacle, because why not? You know?
Right.
So I think
What
it gets very interesting.
do you think that Puffer get involved in this, or did he?
You know, again, this goes back to a guy sitting in a jail cell. And there's all kind of things that, you know, possibly add up that you spoke about earlier in some form or fashion. Stranger things have happened, right? Um, and if you, like I said before, I haven't seen this in a very long time. There seems to be this like media narrative of that, right? For some reason. And I'd never seen this before. And coming on here, it's funny. I was just, you know, reading stuff, and I'm seeing, you know, 50 says this at a concert, and then someone else says this. It's kind of, you know, that story that Mace tells, that he told on. Did you see the story that Mace told the other day on their talk show? Pretty
Yeah,
interesting story, right?
right.
And it's like, are people now kind of feeling comfortable in a way to say things, to talk about things that for a very long time either people just like didn't want to talk about, and it's like, okay, we'll talk about it now, right?
Right.
Um
So you think
so
it could be a play?
how about this? I mean, it could be a play by him, or if he had a smart lawyer, it could be an alternative narrative that he puts forth at trial, right? Um, that, you know, my client was a part of a larger conspiracy and he's the fall guy, and, you know, make him Lee Harvey Oswald or some shit. I don't know.
Right.
At this point, what's actually interesting about this, and I think we've been laughing about it, is all of this stuff is almost so hard to believe that whatever is said now is kind of accepted. So
Right.
if Greg Kading can write a book and there can be a television series and he can make a documentary about his bullshit, then anything is on the table. Right? You had
Yeah.
an LAPD detective make up information and not tell the truth. So once that happens, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm a part of this, I'm also gonna spin a fantastic tale. Because especially in Keffe's case, what does he have to lose? I mean, he's locked up, and he's gonna be locked up until this goes to trial, and that's gonna take a while, you know?
You don't think they'll
And
give him a bail?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean,
Not
I'd be
even an
surprised.
astronomical one? Like, it's not like he was running. They caught him right there.
I
He moved
maybe
back in Vegas. He's
maybe
in Vegas when he's
if
arrested.
if I was him, I'd hope to get bail, and then I'd be going on every news outlet possible, making up a story, because
Right.
I don't think you have anything to lose at this point, you know. But at the very least, it should be interesting, and you know, I'm sure what it has done is it's given, you know, Reggie's platform another life, um,
Oh God.
which
Don't even.
is, you know, which is fascinating. It's given Kading another life, which is fascinating. It's like you know, and
Glad
and
I'm running around talking about he solved the murder.
yeah, I mean, God bless him, you know. It's great stuff. It's really great stuff, man.
Vlad solved the murder. He never had a badge and a gun in his life. And now he solved the murder. Okay.
Eh?
He went on Piers Morgan and said he solved the murder.
Hey, man, this is the world we live in, you know? I think me and you come from a different time, so we still have some form of morality or a code left. At least you hope, you know.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to add? Because I don't want to hold you up.
No, that's it. I didn't know if you wanted to take some calls, but if not,
Oh yeah. Please let me ask just in case.
Yeah.
All
Sure.
right. If anybody got any questions, let me put the phone number up here. Oh, you.
But I do appreciate the time and you having me on. And if there's anything that comes up and you wanna talk again, you know, we could figure out when to do that. You just let me know.
All right, cool. I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna want you to come back once you drop the season 2.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All right. So if anybody got any questions, I'm gonna drop the link in here. If you want to come on. All right, I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes to call or 5 minutes to come on. If you got any questions, to Dawn, and don't come up here with no nonsense either. All right, let me mute it just in case they say something stupid.
No, please don't. Please don't mute it. I love this stuff.
Yo.
Yes, sir. I got a question.
All right, good.
So if they know their informant, so that means that makes the question that you said the other day about WAC 100. That's why they so scared of him. Because I think they all working. I think they all federated. Could that be true?
You heard them?
I heard them. I can only speak to the fact that I know for a fact that Reggie and Mob James were at a certain point working with a group within the FBI surrounding investigations into death row. I would not put it past federal law enforcement to have other obvious confidential sources or confidential informants in the world of hip hop. I think it's existed for many years. So I don't know who they are. I'm just telling you what I was given in terms of information because of the investigation I did that allowed me to have access to the FBI.
All right, cool. What up? Choke, no joke. How may I help you?
Hey, so it's Miss Louise out of North Carolina. Got a quick question. Do you feel like this whole Tupac murder basically all for money gain? Like, do you feel like the murder could have been solved a long time ago?
Do you think the murder could have been solved a long time ago is the question.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think there's no doubt that both the Los Angeles Police Department and the Las Vegas Police Department knew pretty quickly who was involved and who the players were, and they chose not to solve those murders. This was not a case of detectives running around trying to crack a whodunit. They knew pretty quickly and could have put pressure on many people pretty quickly. And for various reasons, at the time, I think in Las Vegas, they did not want what in their words would be a circus trial in Las Vegas for tourism and all this other stuff. They did not want that sort of what they saw as negative press. It's ironic now, right, that they've come around to wanting to solve this. Vegas is a different place in 2023 than it was back at that time. So yeah, this could have been solved, you know, I'd say within a year of each murder, these murders could have been solved.
D-Dime from El Dorado, Arkansas.
What's up, brother? What's your question for Dawn?
I want to know if the FBI were watching Suge and Death Row, how did they not see who killed Pac?
All right, the question he want to know if the feds was watching, how they didn't see the killing.
Well, I'll explain this. When the FBI or any law enforcement entity does surveillance, it doesn't mean that there's an agent or an officer following you around 24 hours a day. Cops are cops. They have jobs. They have shifts, right? So if they happen to be working and they have an 8-hour shift of a surveillance shift and they have to go home, they go home. This isn't the movies. This isn't television where there's just nonstop surveillance at every point in time. I do believe they knew pretty quickly a lot of information that involved the murder. I don't believe they were there following that sort of entourage on that particular night. So to answer your question, it's hard when you're doing surveillance to really surveil individuals 24/7 unless you're working a high level drug case where, you know, you have 20 agents and you can rotate shifts and follow people and the resources are there. So that's really my answer. The team that was investigating Death Row was not that many FBI agents. I would say it's probably between 3 and 5, if that, right? So people go home, they go to bed. Is really the simple answer.
Well, if the feds was out there when the night Big got killed and they got pictures and surveillance video, why they ain't do nothing about that case? Is it because the cops was involved allegedly?
Well, that could be the case. I guess, you know, it is a fact that the NYPD had a task force that was looking at Big. That task force had followed them periodically in Los Angeles. But I want to say something about that. Whether that NYPD task force was around on that particular night that Big got killed, I don't have that answer. But if you listen to Phil Carson and some of the other information, there was other surveillance on Big by the people who killed Big. And there were other cars floating around that was looking at Big while he was in LA. So there could be a confusion between like Big's camp thinking like these are the people who have been following us, but are they really, for lack of a better word, the LA contingent of that and not the official NYPD task force officers that were investigating guns or drugs that never amounted to anything? But there was a guy named William Oldham who was an NYPD detective. I've never spoken to him. I through a friend of a friend was able to be sort of told he was that task force officer and he was in LA, but I've never been able to verify they were sitting there doing surveillance while this happened. You know, I don't have that as of yet.
All right, choke no joke, go on the line. Go ahead, what's your question?
My question is, with the New York Police Department having the hip hop,
Are you saying wasn't NYPD the hip hop cops?
Yeah, I mean, with them being the hip hop cops, why? Yeah, why would none of them have any of this information?
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I think Derek Parker, who wrote a book, he was a part of the hip hop task force.
Yeah, I know
I
him.
think
Yeah.
he's spoken a lot about this. He had a lot of information at that time. I don't believe, for lack of a better word, the quote unquote hip hop task force was in LA at that time. Again, these are NYPD officers that were a part of the hip hop police. Traditionally, NYPD officers, unless they're cross deputized into a task force with the FBI or DEA, they're not really traveling across country for investigations. They can investigate stuff in New York. So I don't believe the quote unquote hip hop task force was in LA on that particular night. Derek Parker might have been. I'd be curious if he was in LA that night. If he wasn't, he's someone you should go read his book. It's a very fascinating book. I think it was called Notorious COP. And that is Derek Parker's story. And they did have a tremendous amount of intelligence about all of these murders.
Okay. What up? Who this choke? Who this?
This Chris, man. I'm a Biggie fan, man. I'm always listening to you.
What's up, Chris? What's your question?
Hey, I just want to ask him, first of all, I just want to commend him on the dossier, the first one, that left me speechless. And I want to ask him about when he interviewed David Mack, did he admit that he was at the Peterson Museum the night that Biggie got killed?
All right, thanks.
Yeah, he did not speak about that. As season 2 is launched, you can listen to episode 1 around Mac, because I think you'll see there's a conversation that was had. The bottom line is that David Mack wants a lot of money to continue to talk. And I think he's a very smart man. Whether he ever talks about that is a still open murder investigation. He's no dummy. So what he says, I think he's gonna parse in a real way.
Okay, let's take this brother over here. Mike P, the MC, I think that is.
What's
up,
good, bro? I didn't expect you to put me on live. What's goody though? Yo, peace, man. It's been an epic show, man. For real. Don, Choke, one love, man. Peace. Appreciate you guys. So, yo, Don, my question is this. I didn't think I was gonna be on camera and all this shit. Damn. FBI definitely gonna be on the list now. Anyway, so yo, Don, have you gotten a chance to talk to Michael Carlin? And as far as the Dossier podcast and all that is concerned, have you guys got to work together?
Is actually on an episode of the Dossier. I do speak to him. RJ Bond is also in an episode of the Dossier. RJ has done a lot of work as it relates to the Tupac murder. He has a lot of information and a lot of documentation that I think is important. But I've spoken to both of them. Michael Carlin actually gave me some audio that he had of a call he did with Suge that I thought was very interesting. And you can go back to season 1. And if you look, Michael Carlin's name will be in the episode. You should listen to that because it is really pretty interesting.
Yeah, I played that.
If you don't mind me adding, Choke. Yo, Choke, if you don't mind me adding, it's like, I just feel like he was working with Russell Poole right before Russell Poole passed. And it seems like he's getting pushed outside of the conversation. And I just feel like Michael Douglas Carlin's voice should be heard more. I'm not saying, and like you said, I did notice you used that Suge, you referenced that Suge interview he did. But, I don't know, man. This stuff's touchy for everybody, but I don't know.
I think Carlin has done amazing work. I think I had plans, or I will speak to him again. You know what I think has happened too, to your point in this story. There's been a lot of like sort of, I don't want to say beef, but like people get angry at each other, or they have these fights about different things, and that's just not in me. I love to speak to everybody and hear everyone's story, and I think the reason why I'm releasing all of these documents to everyone is so other people can use them and do their own sort of reporting and investigating and support of all of us who are bringing forth information. As journalists, our I think responsibility is not to this idea of exclusive. Well, why don't we share this information and work on it together? If you ever see big stories that happen in the world that involve corruption, journalists band together to work together to release information to the public. It shouldn't be, I got this and I'm not telling this person this and you can't do this. And you know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. So I agree with you 100%. I hope his voice is not pushed out of this conversation.
And just to end this, because I don't want to take up too much time, and I appreciate you. I think you've done that. I think the Dossier is a stellar, it's like, I don't know what kind of award you could win for something like that, but that's a podcast award-winning, that's a journalist award-winning type of podcast. So I appreciate what you've done, and I appreciate what you're doing, Choke, man. This is an epic one, and I appreciate the chat, everyone. One love.
Right,
peace, thank you. I appreciate your words. Have a good evening.
Peace.
Yeah, maybe you could hook me up with RJ Bond, because
yeah, you should have him if you really want to talk about Tupac.
No, I would love. I reached out to him and he never reached back. I emailed him, I DM'd him, but if you could plug us, I would love that.
Yeah, I'll put you in contact with him, because he actually is working on a new documentary right now, on all of this Tupac stuff. And I have to be honest, if I want to talk anything when it comes to Tupac, I call him, right? And I can ask him. Literally today, I had to go to the doctor and I called him, and I'm on the phone for 20 minutes and I'm like trying to go into the doctor's office, and RJ is just giving me information after fact. Because again, he's somebody who, he reads the documents, he reads the investigation, he has an open mind to speak to people and look at this stuff. And, if there's anyone who can really give you the scorecard of lies by Reggie Wright, it's RJ Bond. Like he's got that etched in his mind of like, well, he lied here, he lied here, he lied here, he lied here. And that's not a hard thing to do, but he's kept it cohesive, for lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah. Like same thing with me. Like I'll do like I'll go down the rabbit hole. I'm just not going to talk about stuff and not back it with some type of evidence. I'm not like that either. Yeah. But let me see. Yo, who's next?
Good evening, Choke.
Good evening.
Alicia out of Philly.
How you doing, Alicia out of Philly?
I'm good. I've been loving your coverage of this series. Like you said, the rabbit hole that you go in has been amazing, and not anything that anybody else really covers. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you chiming in. What's your question for Dawn?
Yeah. My question is, have you heard that there's any merit to the speculation that Rafael Perez is now like a chauffeur for like high profile people, possibly like Weinstein's daughter, anything like that?
Yes, that is true. He was a livery car, limo type driver. For a period of time, he was, I believe, Harvey Weinstein's driver, and other celebrities. Whether he is still that, I'm not 100% positive, but that actually is true. 100% that he was a car service driver and did have celebrity clientele.
Yeah, I seen some video of him at the airport. All right, what's up, brother? What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling up Detroit, man. I'm flossing, man. I just got a question, man, or something that don't make sense to me. If Reggie could call his father ahead of time and warn them about the drama that's coming, why didn't he alert them about the Cadillac so they could have heads up and be watching for the Cadillac if it came? Not only that, when you talk to, I think you were speaking on something about Suge and him. When he said Suge and them were working together when he first got with them, he was saying that to get Suge hurt in prison. You know, trying to relate that Suge had knowledge of him working with the police so something could happen to him. You know, he's trying to play those dirty games to get Suge hurt while he's in jail, too. So Reggie is real slick, man. You got to watch him.
I think Don already agreed with that. I said, I think Don agrees with that. But you got something to say to that, Don?
Yeah, I mean, listen, anyone that can conduct the various crimes that Reggie has and stay out of jail, anyone that can navigate working with the FBI and sort of, you know, for lack of a better word, get through this world of treachery, you know, yeah, of course. This is somebody who, you know, it has been able to do that. Whether that continues, like Choke said, maybe he Keffe D's himself in a way at some point. It's fascinating. It actually is fascinating. I find it highly fascinating, you know, and he's a highly fascinating character. And when I found out that he, you know, was a part of a crew that was, you know, an informant while death row was going on, it all started to make a little bit more sense, right? In the complete story.
All right, hold on. Hold on. All right, what up? This Choke. Who's calling?
Choke, what's up, brother? This Grease from Brooklyn.
Peace. What up, BK in the house? What's your question for Don?
Peace. First off, salute to you.
I appreciate that.
No doubt, God. But two things I want to know. What he felt about the gun that was found that they claim was an outlaw person's gun. And second, does he think that maybe Suge wasn't in on it and Reggie and Suge's wife was going to line him up to steal the company and do it for the money?
All right, good looking. Hold on. You got that?
Yes. I'll talk to the second piece of that. And listen, I think there is a possibility of what you just said happened. I would not put it past the players that were around at that time and the money that was at stake, right? I think when you start talking about in upwards of $50 or $100 million and publishing and what all that stuff was worth, I think why not, right? If you know your father is heavily connected in law enforcement, if you know you're playing the role of law enforcement, if you know you're also working with the FBI, you kind of would feel a little bit invincible and say, well, I can really pull this off. And you know what? I'm smarter than everyone else. And I can make certain steps. Now, can I back that up with proof? Not as of yet. It's something I think people are working on to try and prove, but I can't, you know, I can only tell you a lot of it makes sense, you know, with what I know.
Do you know about the gun that Fatal was caught with? Do you know that story?
I don't know that story.
I'll tell it to you. I'll tell you, I went down the rabbit hole. Now, what happened was this. Tupac had a show in Santa Monica at the House of Blues. As they go in to the House of Blues, they have to go to a metal detector. An off-duty cop there stops Fatal because he has the gun on him. He wants to arrest him, but Reggie won't let him arrest him. Reggie pulls his badge on him or whatever, and like, yo, you can't arrest him, but you could take the gun. So the cop says, all right, well, I'm definitely taking the gun. I'm going to take the gun. I'm going to run it. If the gun is clean, you can have it back. You know what I'm saying? He takes the gun off of Fatal. They don't arrest him. They book it into Santa Monica. He does the, what is it? The N something search.
Ivan test.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
They do that test on the gun. The gun comes back clean, right? Brand new gun or whatever. So the detective calls Reggie and tells him, or the officer tells Reggie, you can have the gun back. Reggie calls Hackey. At the time, not knowing Hackey was undercover working, you know, for the feds or whatever, ATF. Hackey goes get the gun back and gets the gun back to Reggie. Now, there's two stories with this gun, right? Reggie says he takes the gun, and instead of him being a good guy, giving Fatal his gun back, he said, oh, the gun was clean. It was new. I kept it, right? So he kept the gun. After the incident happened at the Vegas incident, they go over to the Bahamas. Now, Sugar's still on parole, so technically he ain't supposed to be leaving. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if he had permission or not, right? But he goes over to the Bahamas. They in the Bahamas to stand the third. And Reggie says he threw the gun in the water, right? Or see, some security, when they was coming back, he took the gun and he threw the gun in the water, right? Now, that same gun that was checked, right? Reggie told other people that he gave it to his father, allegedly, and his father put it in Compton evidence. We know you can't do that, right? So what happens is when the day after Orlando gets killed, this gun that mysteriously found in Corey Edwards' girlfriend's backyard, her father comes out to walk the dog. The dog is running around with the gun in his mouth, right? He gets this gun, he calls the cops. They take the gun goes to Compton evidence. One of the detectives that's working on the Biggie case sees the gun in evidence and sees Corey Edwards' girlfriend's address on it. And they're looking for a 40 Glock, right? They're looking for a 40 Glock in the Tupac case, in the 9mm, and the Biggie case. He sees a 40 Glock and he goes and he takes the gun, does the shooting, and goes and runs the gun. The gun comes back identical match as the Tupac gun. The gun in Tupac's case. They take the gun, they send the gun over to Vegas and say, yo, this is a match in the Tupac case, this gun, right? Now, somebody strangely takes this gun and throws it over the gate over Corey Edwards' girlfriend's backyard. This gun goes into evidence. The cop sees it. He runs it. Boom. It comes back as the match to kill Tupac, right? They send the gun to Vegas. Vegas tells them, no, it ain't a match. We did a test on it. Y'all got it wrong. It ain't a match. That ain't the gun. Throw the whole shit out. That's the gun he's talking about. Now, how did the gun that turned back to Reggie end up? Because they ran a test, and the test allegedly came back as the gun that got tested in Santa Monica because they ran it. So now when it came back, this was the gun that was ran earlier. It was Fatal gun. Now it's the gun that killed Tupac. But the last person to have the gun allegedly was Reggie. Now, Reggie says the thing about the gun and his deposition in the Biggie case. They asked him about this gun. Did Kevin Hackey ever give you a gun? No. What gun? No. Nobody ever gave you a gun? No. So Kevin Hackey never gave you a gun from the House of Blues. Oh, that gun. Yeah. Oh, well, who gun was it, Reggie? I think it was Tupac's. Oh, no, well, one of Tupac's boys or whatever. So what happened to the gun, Reggie? I think I gave it to he don't know what happened to the gun. But you go on bomb first. This nigga, yeah, man, that gun, I took it, I kept it. We went to the he ain't missing a beat about this gun. He know everything about the gun, but in the deposition, he couldn't remember shit. Right? So he says he took the gun and threw it over, and he had security throw it in the water, right? I know that's bullshit. Well, I don't know if he threw the gun in the water, whatever. But that gun came back to be a match, and it was the fatal gun. But I know more about that, but I can't tell it here. I gotta tell you about that off the record. You know what I'm saying? But that's what you're talking about. That gun. They wanted to know if you knew about that gun. Well, clearly you didn't.
I didn't, but you know, it's the interesting part of that story is it being in the evidence locker of the Compton Police Department, which if you know anything about the Compton Police Department, that evidence locker was like used like a fucking Costco, you know? It was like, what do we want? We want guns. We'll go sell them. We'll fucking put them on people. We'll take drugs. We'll put the drugs on people. We'll sell the drugs. I mean, the Compton Police Department, and in the podcast I have about Pac, that's what I really go into is the Compton Police Department run by, you know, Reggie Wright Sr. And what I mean, if you were to understand the full story there, that gun story really makes sense to me, that it ended up there at some point. And again, put 2 and 2 together. What was the evidence locker used by Reggie Wright Sr. and other people within the Compton PD was almost like a free-for-all, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no record keeping. You know, there's so many stories about missing drugs, missing guns. I had people tell me that what they would do is they would take guns from the evidence locker, and those would be the guns that they would put on people to charge them with things if they didn't like them, you know?
Right.
So, you know, again, this is just a symptom of corruption that went in Compton that Reggie and his father were at ground zero of, you know?
Right. There's one cop that got caught with 2 bricks in his personal locker. They went, I can't think of his name. They went to him and they like, yo, open your locker. And he's like, no. They like, open your locker. He's like, no. They go get the cutters. He jumps in his car, take off, bam, and leaves the police department. And he was an officer. They opened his locker and he got 2 bricks of cocaine in there in the Compton Police Department.
Yeah. I fully believe the gun story, knowing the history of Compton, the Compton Police Department, and Reggie's father and Reggie and all the people for that matter. I mean, you know, it was a wild, wild west.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take 2 more callers. All right. What up, this Choke? Who's this?
Man, from home, Louisiana, man.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to ask a question. Gene Deal been saying a lot of things, man, about Puff Daddy and a statement that Puff Daddy made about $1 million, man, that was offered. And the $1 million offer, he said that he heard Puff say he don't care if Tupac got killed or Biggie got killed or Suge went to jail. So if Gene Deal making that statement, why are Gene Deal being questioned and they indicting him or taking a pro offer from him?
All right, I got you. Hold on. You next. Hold on. So his question is, if Gene making these statements about that Puff said these different allegations, why isn't Gene being subpoenaed or pulled in because of
that's a simple thing, in my opinion. Is Gene Deal has done nothing but told the truth from day one in this case. And police in this case don't want to talk to people that tell the truth. They want to talk to everyone else besides people that tell the truth. And Gene, unfortunately, has told the same story since that night he saw what happened. And no one is interested in that because it doesn't fit their narrative. So no one wants to talk to Gene. They didn't even want to talk to Gene when they should have talked to Gene. So they're definitely not going to talk to him now.
Right. Okay. Next question. Who's this? Where you calling from?
Calling from Jersey.
This Justice for Pac and Big?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what up, homie? What's your question for Dawn?
What's going on, Don? My question to you is, so it's a known fact that back in 1998, April 1998, D-Rock was interviewed by Russell Poole, and he identified David Mack in the lineup as being present at the museum. Now, why wasn't D-Rock ever called as a witness to testify at the Wallace civil suit?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And first, I'm aware of your work, and I think you do amazing work. So thank you, and please keep that up. I have, and you'll see when I release the documents, the actual signature by D-Rock on the witness card, where he did, initial and do that. Why he was not called at the civil trial, I don't have that answer. My assumption is he might, again, remember, the civil trial was cut short. They were not allowed to sort of put forth all of the case because, they shut the case down when they found those files hidden in robbery homicide. So I can't say maybe D-Rock would have been called in the civil case. I don't have that answer. I can speak to Perry Sanders and ask him that question and sort of report that information to Choke or put it out on the dossier. Or if I get the information, you can send me your email or phone, and I'll text you that information when I have it. But it's a great question. But I definitely will release, and I've seen that statement and that, for lack of a better word, signature of his where he identified the individuals at the Peterson Automotive Museum.
You got another question, brother?
Yeah. Will you guys be going more deeper into Psycho Mike in this season? Because I know, like, throughout the past couple of years, Kading and Dossier and the whole murder rap team have been trying to throw up extra dirt on that man's name for years. Like, and it's crazy. Like, will you guys do injustice this season?
Well, here's my hope. I do know for a fact that there's a video deposition that exists of Psycho Mike. That video deposition, a colleague of mine who I worked on City of Lies, the movie with, has seen that deposition, and it's pretty astounding. The only thing I will say for right now about Psycho Mike is, again, I go back to Richard Valdemar. Richard Valdemar says unequivocally that Psycho Mike, hands down, was one of his most reliable informants that he ever worked with in a highly decorated career as one of the country's top gang investigators. So Kading's whatever story, and whoever wants to say anything about that, again, I default to Sergio Robledo, Richard Valdemar, Bill Carson as three individuals who led impeccable law enforcement careers, who vouched for Psycho Mike, and yet Kading did what and he's saying what? I don't know. You do the math once again, and I think you know the answer to that.
Anything else?
That's it, man. I'm good. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it, man.
Thank
All
you.
right, man. Yeah, keep doing good work, man. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Hold on. I got one more. What up?
Right.
This is Choke No Joke. Who this? Hello?
I'm supposed to be the minister of society, right? I rent and everything. They got the deal because of your boy. They was my niggas. They used to do all these videos for me. They was the niggas that was talking that we should help their black brother shit, and I helped their punk ass. You know what I'm saying? We was helping them all the way. They got a little movie deal and try to act white.
Wait. Slow down, brother. Slow down.
Before I choose my motherfucking principles, my manhood. So I said, okay, cool. Fire me from this honey. Who's a Muslim. There ain't no such thing. I refuse to play parts that don't exist. I I will be a young nigga, but I will be a.
I'm sorry.
Was that a recording of Tupac?
I think so. That was definitely
I'm
a Tupac.
surprised that Reggie hasn't called and disguised his voice.
He probably tried to. It's been so many calls that it's a lot of calls that I missed. So I don't know. He probably tried. But this is gonna be the last one.
Hello?
What up? This Choke No Joke. You called?
Yes, love. Hey, I just had are you still doing your questioning and stuff like that?
Yes, you live on the air right now.
Hey, dear, I just had a question and / comment. We already know that there's a relationship established with Keffe D and P. Diddy. But it's more than a relationship. It's a monetary relationship that's established. And a lot of us don't realize what it was. It may not be a certain number, but it was those tickets he gave them. So that's the start of everything right there. They already had a relationship started. So I just want to know, what do we think about that? Where do you go from there? So you can't say he never paid him for anything.
Okay, hold on.
Can you tell me what the question is?
Yeah. All right, hold on one minute. She's saying that being that Puff, had interactions with Keffe D and them and gave them tickets to go to shows, that was some form of payment. So why do people overlook that, he was already paying them and they had a relationship?
Hey, again, what I'll default to is what I said earlier, where for the first time, I'm starting to see all of these stories come out from interesting people. And I'll put 50 on there, I'll put Mace on there, some other people I've seen that are saying these things. I think it's all very interesting. But I will say this, in all of the investigative files that I've seen, nothing really goes down that road, but I'm not going to sit here and completely discount it. And I think, Choke, you spoke about it a lot more in depth than I think I can. But I will say I'm seeing a trend of that story and people talking about it, and I'm very curious to see kind of where it goes or if it just disappears, if that makes sense.
Could possibly they offer Keffe a deal to testify against Puff, to put it on him, and he gets a fucking slap on the wrist and Puff goes to jail?
I mean, I do know one thing is prosecutors who are ambitious and like the news and like their careers have been known to create a narrative for a criminal case to basically become famous or to elevate their careers. It happens all the time with US attorneys when they go after specific mob cases. It happens, all the time. So would I put it past some district attorney in Las Vegas that sits down and Keffe says, well, I got paid so-and-so? I mean, that would be the biggest story in all of this, right? Whether it's the truth or not, I don't know. But I would put nothing past, I'm getting tired. Any prosecutor in any jurisdiction in America to get a form of fame or notoriety.
Could also, the flip side of that coin, could Keffe D testify that Reggie allegedly hired him to do it, and it was a whole conspiracy for the death row thing?
100%. And again, it goes back to that idea. I'm sitting in a jail cell, and listen, I think in the real world, he can't just completely make up a story. But that actually is a story. There is supporting evidence and individuals and documentation. You talked a lot about it earlier. That would actually support that particular narrative. Now, I don't know what the relationship between Keffe and Reggie was, or ever was.
I heard from a very reliable source that was born in Compton, and you probably know what I'm talking about, that Reggie and Keffe D had a relationship before any of this shit.
I believe that. Again, I spent a lot of time with a particular individual who was one of the, for lack of a better word, founding members of the Pyru, Mob Pyru. He was a guy who lived in Compton when Sandy Koufax of the Dodgers used to have horses, and he used to steal. If you know who Sandy Koufax is, he was a pitcher for the Dodgers back in the day.
Okay.
And I spent many weeks with him getting his story. And I mean, what happened in Compton and how every one of those players that lived in Compton is 10 square miles. It's like Reggie lived next to the leader of the Mob Pyru, right? I mean, it was a neighborhood where everyone went to the same schools, everyone grew up together. So yeah, of course, I believe that 100%, just like Dave and Matt grew up in Compton, right? So that, I think, is, for me, again, what I don't think anyone has done is told the story of Compton in and of itself, and all of these characters all being there around each other. That, to me, is a story that's worth telling, and actually gets you the answers of both the murders of Big and Pac.
Definitely.
If you understand that.
Because it all leads back to Compton.
It does. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
All right. Well, let me see. Who's this? This is the last question for the night. Last question for the night.
I got just a comment and a question. A comment I listened to the whole season 1 of the Dossier, and I recommend everybody to listen to it. Some of the episodes I listened to, I kind of it just blew my mind that I heard some of the stuff, and just to know that there's a possibility that the coke conspirators or alleged people that could be behind the Biggie hit are all probably up and alive and still free out here. So hopefully there's some traction on that. And the question I had was, I know y'all was trying to track down Rafael Perez in season 1. I don't know how close y'all got to that. But also, have y'all also been trying to maybe track down the whereabouts of Amir Muhammad and see what he's up to these days? And that's all I got to say.
All right, thanks, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. So 2 things. We do know where Amir is. We do go into that in season 2. We know geographically where he is. We know what he's been up to. Rafael Perez is interesting. So there was a period of time, I'd say the last year and a half, that Rafael Perez had a deal at Netflix to do a documentary called The Dirtiest Cop in America. And it was a project that was floating around Netflix. And I know about this because I took a meeting to possibly work on it. And the production company I went in to meet was classic Hollywood, where they had bought his story hook, line, and sinker. And I said to the woman at the time, I said, do you realize that when Rafael Perez told his story to LAPD investigators, they could never sort of connect anything he told them, that this guy literally lied about almost everything to the LAPD? And she kind of just in Hollywood speak, just didn't care because she had Rafael Perez.
Mhm.
And I've had a number of conversations with the lawyer that represented Rafael Perez. There was a time where I was going to get him to do an interview for like 50 grand. I think Rafael Perez. Now, I will say, I also do know this. There's another documentary that I think is going on by a guy by the name of Tiller Russell at Netflix, and he's doing the Rampart story. And I believe Netflix has enough money to pay Rafael Perez to finally talk. But again, what I think people don't realize is you could pay him or Mac all the money you want in the world. But how do you tell they're ever telling the truth? One, and they're not fucking dumb. They're not going to talk about anything having to do with Biggie because there is no statute of limitations on murder.
Right.
And we've seen this with Keffe, and they're way smarter than fucking Keffe D. So they're not gonna talk about anything having to. They'll talk about Rampart. Mac told me he would speak of. I asked him, and you'll see in this first episode. I'm like, will you talk about this? He's like, yeah. Will you talk about that? Yeah. I forget now. I actually have to go back and listen to the episode because it's edited. If I ask him about Biggie, or if I was trying to just get him to talk about as much as possible before I couldn't just ask him, because what's he going to say? Yeah, Don, I did it. Me and Raphael and fucking like, you know what I mean? Like when you have someone like that on the phone, it isn't like because they're just not going to tell you, right? They're not fucking stupid. So I say that to say, I think at a certain point they will talk for money, straight up. And they'll talk, I think, about Rampart. But again, if they get a hint that the FBI is looking at this again, that, they're seeing what happened in Vegas, they might be going, I don't know. Probably not the best idea, to like give anyone a reason, which is what Keffe did. Because he was like, well, let me go on Vlad. Let me write a fucking book. Let me talk to everyone that will listen. And now he sits in jail,
Right. All right. The last question I want to ask, since we just mentioned Vlad, is what do you feel about the guys that go on Vlad? Because people always say, oh, Vlad ain't the police. They shouldn't answer these questions. They should know better. But I done seen from AR Rap to so many guys that went up on Vlad and ended up in jail. And then now, only with the Keffe D thing, he want to take credit for it. Say, oh, I solved the murder. I got him locked up. But with this culture of going up on there and talking criminology, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's fascinating because, one, very smart investigators, no matter where they are, if they're in a local police department, if they're at the FBI, if they're at the DEA, if they're guys, this has happened a few times with some of these mob podcasts where these guys will go on fucking mob podcasts and be like, I did this, I did that, blah, 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 blah. And they're brought back to jail. So to me, it's an utter mystery because they can't be getting paid that much. So why? I guess fame is a hell of a drug that they just want to talk. And I don't really understand it. And here's the thing. What is actually the most fascinating part of them going and speaking to Vlad is maybe he gives them, I don't know, a few $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. The only person that's making money is Vlad. If they really had an interesting story, they could take it and go do a book and do whatever. But they're putting it on Vlad and they're telling the whole story. and he's making, God bless him again. I mean, listen, he's making millions, and they're telling on themselves and other people, right? Don't even think about that. Like, I'm sure I don't I have it's tough to just consume everything, but I'm sure they're telling on other people. People are obviously watching, and investigators are watching, and I don't know. It seems sort of backwards about everything you know about what you were told if you wanted to be a criminal when you were becoming a criminal. It's like my dear friend always said, nobody talks, everybody walks. It's a very simple fucking, equation in the criminal justice system.
Right.
And that has gone out the window. And it is fascinating to watch in real time, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's no different than, you go into any police department in this day and age, and the fucking detectives have burner Facebook accounts and burner Instagram accounts, and they're on social media looking at the guns, and it's like, oh, okay, this guy just went and posted the gun, and I was just in Chicago for a year doing a documentary, and you see the evidence of gang investigators or homicide investigators where they're literally pulling up Instagram and going, oh, you have the AR and you're live right now. Okay, let's send the unit there. Like, this isn't what are we talking about? It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of it is just fame. People want to be famous.
Sure.
You know what
Sure.
I mean? Stupid. But I appreciate you, man. You're welcome anytime to come through.
Thanks, Joe.
You know,
I
I
appreciate
really
you. Yeah, keep up the good work, man. And whenever you want to talk again, I'm here. I'm sure we could take some more calls, another time. But I appreciate this. I dearly do. I don't on purpose. I've been very sort of selective about doing these types of things. I really like the work to speak to itself. But when you reached out, that you're like one that I was like, yes, I have to do this, and I'm glad I did. It was fun.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I feel special. But
No, thanks, man.
yeah, man. Please hook me up with RJ, man. I would love
I
that.
will. I'll
Yeah.
speak to him in the morning, and I'll set that up. And you should really talk. If you guys could really, I mean, you guys could talk. Like I said, I'm not the biggest expert on that stuff. I can give you opinions. I haven't looked at it as much as I have the other stuff, but he real deal.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to put out this paperwork. I hope that paperwork comes out and it makes them reopen the case and then go grab these dudes, man. That's what I hope happens.
Well,
but go ahead and let everybody know the date again, when it's coming out, where they can find it, and give them your social media.
So the Dossier season 2 comes out Monday, October 23rd, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search the Dossier, the LAPD cover-up of the murder of Biggie. And the documents will be released on Monday, October 23rd at www.criminalmindedmedia.com. All the information, the documents, further videos, depositions, Mario Hammond's video deposition from inside San Quentin prison. You can watch that there. Everything that I've had over the course of the last 8 years in terms of evidence, I'm putting up for people to download, use it, put on their platforms, whatever they want to do.
Awesome. I can't wait. You got my full support. Anything you need, holla at me.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good night.
All right. Peace out, man. Thank you, Dawn. Shout out to Dawn. That was amazing. I really enjoyed that. It may be some people that's a little bit mad right now, but we don't care. The Dossier, remember, part 2, season 2, October 23rd. If you got an iPhone, all you got to do is go right in that podcast joint Let me show you. You see that right there? That podcast joint? If you got the iPhone, it's already in there. You just go in there, you hit that, type in the search, the Dossier. That was season 1. All right. All you got to do is just type it in and it's going to pop right up. All right. Season 2 right around the way. Shout out to everybody that called in. I appreciate y'all calls, y'all questions. Shout out to Justice for Big and Pac. Show you let's see. So there's the Dossier 2. Like I said, just you got the date right there, Monday, October 23rd. All right. Part 2. Make sure y'all get it. All right. I see a few of y'all hit me. Choke, let them talk. Let them talk. Look, I got a lot of goddamn questions. All right. I got a lot of questions. Y'all might not know the answers to some of it. All right, but I got a lot of questions. I had the man up here for 3 hours. All right. It's a whole lot. I'm trying to get as much as I could out. Shout out to Blood Money. I appreciate it. And niggas said, Chokes, don't use the N-word in front of white people. I got you. I'm sorry. Shout out to CB. Good looking. Appreciate it. I take all y'all constructive criticism. You know, yeah, it's okay. I know I may have cut them off a few times, and y'all, you know, but I had a lot of questions. But thanks to everybody that's saying I did a wonderful job. I appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? Soothing Sounds, I heard you. I appreciate that. Got you. Choke no joke, y'all already know. This one go out to the dirty cops. All right? Y'all stay clean out there. Stay out the streets. You know what I mean? Tomorrow I'll hold a panel so everybody that didn't get through, we could talk about this amongst each other. Choke no joke, y'all already know. I appreciate the love. Shout out to Dawn once again. Shout out to Phil, Carson, RJ Bond, you know, all those that did the work. Justice for Big and Pac, or Pac and Big. You know what it is, man. Jane Dale, all y'all. Peace and love, man. See y'all tomorrow in the morning.
Check it out.
If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe. Show me some love. If you appreciate what just went down, show me some love with the subscribe button, all right? And make sure y'all subscribe to the new channel too. Choke no joke, you already know.
Choke no joke. Learn from mistakes. DJ S&S the Great. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. Best day of my life, no sleep all night. Broke day for weeks, my cash was right. My capo tight, take our loot, unite. 23-hour shifts had to see loot like Mike. Cash lovely, yeah, Dougie. How could this day get so ugly? Wifey bout to pop like some bubbly. Yo, through those 9 months, don't really bug me. Felt like a star, cop, first car. Get up with the guard, what it is, baby, pa. He about to cop a van, get up with our mans. Before we reached our low spot, toes blam. Unaware what happened, discussing and clapping. It wasn't loud, ain't shit gonna happen. Me being stupid, instead of getting they moving, this nigga kept chefing like the woo one. Then we heard a knock, no one knew of this spot. 6 niggas in the spot, 6 niggas not. Ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. I'm in the precinct all damn even. This good cop, bad cop shit got me steaming. No, I was caught, I ain't give a fuck. Had jokes like the usual suspects line up. Boom, time's up, came back fuck. Time's up, heard them clink of the cuffs. Niggas was so deep they had to call on the bus. Everybody that checks outside waiting on us like ghetto celebs. Our cells ain't plush. 5 in the book and gave a whooping. He never forget, they gotta be split. Up in the courtroom, they cause it ruckus. Everybody that checks waiting on us. Try to bail us out, that thought got thrown out. Bill one so high, I couldn't bear half a nigga out. Hopped out, that's what first fell in the bow. Back on the bus, Rikers the row. Wifey in the courtroom crying out. We love y'all with tears running in their mouth. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first time felon. No telling when you be a first time felon. They counted me out, 'cause I didn't wanna get down. Niggas talking about God there. What God? What God are you talking about? Say his name. This nigga went Eric Benet. Now the baddest girl won't show her face. You know your ass in the way when she show up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you ain't even say her name. Lame, you better say Dame. In the streets, we call you roadblock. Nigga, you shot. Nigga, you block rocks. Like when Chris was about to pop. Like MJ moonwalking like Spock. You abuse your power fast. You killed the thought that's black.
Jay told me in no certain terms that, you know, no rapper can really afford to look bad in front of him. So it's almost like we gotta blackball him.
Shout out to Jay-Z for seeing the big picture here.
Yeah, and it was a hard pill to swallow.
Tariq, you kill the weeds, not the seeds that grow the trees. And as long as you alive, Dame should have a milli. Fuck you mean bleed. Nigga, don't get me started. You know I'm retarded and lion-hearted. You flipped on your peeps for those peoples in them white sheets. Like you pro-black. We pass kneeling, how you shit on cap.
Did you kneel or would you stand?
Would I what?
Did you kneel or would you stand?
Okay, I think we passed kneeling.
Nigga, you got the check, the pros went back, and that's no cap. Leaving cap with no salary cap. Your son said you his dad, and you never threw him a pass. Watching his siblings in the stands, say lips, say no, say hands. You say the kid is not your son, they call you Hov, it must be immaculate conception. Choke, no joke. You already know. Y'all know I love that cooch. You know what this is. I love that cooch. Yeah. It's the A thing. Clean cooch. Let's go. Yo, what's up? My nuts when I wake up. Got more than wood and I just bust one. In mahogany, I'm Ron Isley. Between the sheets, she want to ski. And just shout with me with what I thought was pee. She rolled the D and her water broke B. Not pregnant, but baptized. baptized me. I'm down for more love, but change the sheet. She said, please, I want more. Next thing I know, mattress dripping the floor from her juices. Oral had me stoned, had a Corinne and Medusa in one. And when I look in her eyes, between her thighs, I tell you no lie, ain't shit won't buy. I rob and take it for me to taste it. Red Lobster, pussy, biscuit, freshly baked. Eat that coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. I eat her coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. Suck my nuts when I wake up. Got morning wood and I just bust one. In mahogany, I'm raw eyes lead between the sheets. She want to ski and just shout with me with what I thought was pee. She rolled the D and her water broke B. Not pregnant, but baptized me. I'm down for more love, but change the sheet. She said, please, I want more. Next thing I know, mattress dripping the floor from her juices. Oral had me stoned, had a Corinne and Medusa in one. And when I look in her eyes, between her thighs, I tell you no lie, ain't shit won't buy. I rob and take it for me to taste it. Red Lobster, pussy, biscuit, freshly baked. Eat that coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. Yeah, choke no joke.
KK on
New
the beat.
life. They said I'll be dead or in jail. They was half right, I saw right can sell. I knew I wasn't rich when I couldn't make bail. I made out good, 5 niggas that didn't tell. Hold up, don't go to trial when caught up. Roll the dice, watch the numbers just go up. When you're off for what's short as a pup's nuts, you got the whammy, cause you pressed your luck. You could have been back on the town, industry bound, no more busting it down. To quarters, half O's, having to catch the flow, and reassuring those who act like they don't know that the ratchet let go. If you think we won't fill them hollow points up with mercury, send them to another planet, leave them screaming like Mike and Janet. Niggas can't stand it. I felt champagne with Ross running the game. When I was locked and the CO jumped in my face, talking gangster, nigga. Like I'm not a fucking gangster, nigga. But you got it in here, cause the odds ain't fair. Cause you got that walkie and that button right there. But after 8 hours, you leave here. And that's when you friend, it's not fair. You shoot at the range, we shoot when in range. Roll up in that range, your face look real strange. The look on my face is I got that aim. Before you reach, you feel the pain. Blood stain, calculate to your brain. You've been licked by that thing. In the game of death, that's what you get when got game. It's a method to the madness, how I bring the pain of one that's not sane. Choke no joke, I do my thing. They say you're nobody until they kill you. I'm somebody alive, guess that make me an ill dude. Made my name before the funeral, considered a legend and still make moves. They know you when you gone, they know me when I'm on. All over the board, you restricted, you pawn. You wouldn't cut a lawn, blow a candle at dawn. Choke got it going on like fuel. Some of you fools is more ass than mule. Never rule like Rick with Mona Lisa in your crib. Haters mad cause I'm doing what they wish they did. Without the rock, it's still gunning like Chris. Nigga try to block, I tomahawk this shit. Nigga looking down at me, now he looking at dick. Pause, just determined shit. It's choke, no joke. Nigga, I'm lit. Fired up. And we recorded.
Oh yeah. My man had to come through and make sure it went through. Y'all niggas is in trouble. Choke no joke. I ain't no joke, the mixtape. We here now. You already know. Let's go.
choke chillin', got away from them billin'. Ain't shit really changed though, I'm still that villain. I'm making money with rhyme, fuck black on black crime. Beef and money don't mix, like Muslims and swine. I'm talking milk, penicillin, y'all be illin'. Y'all be thinking y'all killers, with y'all screw face grillin'. Kick that bullshit to me, y'all be wet though like Bruce Lee. And Brandon and Hearst on the highway to heaven. Man, you making mad threats and stuck in one section. I'm OBP like Naughty, making connections. Talking under your breath, get you something you don't need. 2 fully loaded Max, filled up with heat. Nigga, you sweeter than 30 days for a body. Pop shit to these niggas, see me walk by me. But I ain't looking for no beef, I don't eat bologna. But I bring a whole cow if you run up on me. Shiesty, try me and hype me to peel your wig back like 10 cent icy. Bring it, stop bluffing, I got you threats, they mean nothing. I respond like Bond, I come through, I'm bombing. Playing bodegas, flipping Montega. You tan in the Jacks, I tan in Jamaica. Faker, wouldn't bust if he raped ya. Your chick out blazed her, hit it like Jada. While you blew up a pager, had to breathe like Vader. Your star at war, with the lightsaber. I'm here to lyrically tear your red, nigga, you a spear. I jack you up, now you outta here. Throw me on the 600. Now fucking nigga humming, blowing down 8th Ave with a bad bitch blunted. I take it there. Y'all niggas don't want it. Y'all niggas don't want it. Y'all niggas don't want it with no joke. Who you thought it be? Represent the NYC. Bring it on if you niggas want some of me. Have y'all niggas feeling it like Jay-Z. No joke. Who you thought it be? Represent the NYC. Bring it on if you niggas want some of me. Bronze King like the LORD-FINESSE. And that bullshit y'all do, y'all niggas don't stress me. Oh yeah, and you already know, Eden War what it is. Choke, no joke, I ain't no joke. The mixtape, we here now.
Out here in DR, my man Delvin, see him?
Yeah. In Dominican Republic.
Alright?
Yeah.
We here.
Yeah. Joke, no joke. Primo, you ain't want to give me no beat, so I'm stealing one. Take it personal. You know you my guy, Primo, love you. You gonna give me a beat after this one. I never thought that you would cry me, go against me, and backstab me. Third eye is strong, word is bond. Put you on the fakes, and now you won. I gave you support, and you play me. For those who play with butt, yeah, I'm talking Breakfast Club, Revolt, whatever. All I know is birds of a feather. Hang with those that they hate. Once the realness, now you fake, and I see through you. What you gon' do when they book you and your Duke shoot? I know you think I'm expose you. This ain't no threat, take it personal. Choke, no joke. 2023, it's on me. You hear me? 2023 is on me. They say, why I don't come around the game? Cause all y'all do is undercover gay. And I don't play those fucking games. Yo, stop the track, I'm fucking Slay. Rest in peace, K. Slay, man. Let's get to the next one. Yeah. Choke, no joke. You know what it is. Learn from mistakes out right now on all platforms. This one right here is for the mixtape. Let's go. Yo, Nas, I ain't do this for clout. I'm just a real nigga trying to figure you out. How you don't put blood in this Judas mouth. Talking Japanese wine like you fanning out. Blushing at this bitch that disrespects your kid and her earth. Carmen, I know that it hurt.
You know, back then when he made these disparaging remarks and comments about my daughter and created this disgusting visual, there were so many people around him that stayed quiet. They said absolutely nothing.
Carmen, I know that it hurt. You said Pac left us. When rappers that wink at other rappers in the studio, which made me think, yo, what he got on you? And homie in pink, cause at Webster Hall, he didn't stream one link. Yo, y'all glutton for punishment. I'm sick and I'm done with it. If it was part of your plan, Nas, hard my word on it. I'm just your fan. With little celebrity, some say it's just the hate in me. Nah, I'm cut from a cloth. You don't brush shit off. Well, the penthouse of law gotta have a ceiling. Only forgive hoes with sexual healing. And that thought right now is not appealing. With these chicks, with the dicks like Little Nas. X, I'm not a fan. You damaged your brand. Yo, Nas, don't ever do that shit again. I'm signing off. Esco stand. Yeah. Choke no joke, you know what it is. You know what it is. Oh yeah, and you nigga, I ain't sorry for shit. I ain't with your boys' games, nigga, I'm with the shit. Wedge. Webster Dictionary defines the word as a substance that is used for splitting wood or rocks. Something causing a breach or separation. It's funny what that lens can capture. Separation, division.
How y'all having a meeting about Jay without? Nope, not drugs right there. Nobody told me nothing. How come y'all having a market meeting without Jay? Without Jay? Without? I don't get it. It's 10:30 in the morning. And you want to get Leo? Please go get him.
No, actually, I was just gonna go to the restroom. Okay.
Why are you leaving? I'm asking a question.
She doesn't have an answer.
Well, I'm wondering what line of thought is it, what pattern is it, John McNeely and all of y'all, that y'all have my biggest artists here, and y'all in here, y'all Def Jam staff is dealing with Jay's marketing without me. Please explain that to me, because this seems treacherous.
And animosity.
What you mean bullshit? The fuck, y'all niggas having meetings about my artist without calling me? It ain't no bullshit. It ain't no bullshit. Man, look, oh y'all look, everybody here is ashamed of y'all. Who wants to work under a cow? They don't have to. Cow.
I ain't with your boys' games, nigga, I'm with the shit. I'm nothing like Nas, I'm with the shit. I'm more like Jungle, wanting to bust your shit. But bro got me on chill. He said I'm illmatic, with the static, with the ratchets. Let's go to Brooklyn, cause he gotta have it. School days, would've called you faggot and smoked you like a Spike Lee joint. Yo, the greatest of all timers, got hit with all timers. You buster, nigga, your mic with the shine. Knockout. Yeah, one-liners, give you a reason to be a one-eye without reasonable doubt. You been a liar. You headache king, Jazzo inspired, rape Damon.
So they trying to take our franchise from us. That's what they trying to do. Make this beef with. They trying to. I bet you they're staging this beef with us. Trust me. Trust me.
It was all about the power to, to get rid of Dame Dash, and take Jay-Z to the next level without Dame. And it was, Dame should stop blaming Leo and Todd Moskowitz and start blaming Steve Stout.
You know about the Scarface party and all that? How they make sure house on in Puerto Rico? He's gonna be there performing, but they're doing something with them.
Who, Jay?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He's gonna be out there for that with the release of the Scarface DVD.
Jay's performing for that?
And I don't need two lips to blow this like a trumpet, you dumb shit. This is an unusual musical I conducted. You looking at the black Warren Buffett, so all critics conduct sick. I don't care if you see the Lawrence Tucker or you Bill O'Reilly. You only rallied me up for 3 years. They had me peeing out in the cup. Now they about to free me up. What you think I'm gonna be? What? Rehabilitated? Man, I still feel hatred. I'm young, black, and rich, so they wanna strip me naked. But you never had me like Christina Aguilera. But catch me at the West Side driving like Halle Berry or the West. Fuck it. Peace and love, y'all. The black album on the way.
And then we doing our party, so
following Steve Stout's direction.
And what was Steve Stout telling you to do?
He walked me through
how to get rid. His plan was to get rid of Dame Dash.
He told you that.
That was the plan.
Rape Dame and Chris, they ran the lion through the rock and the fire. Damn, you cold. Built the nation, the prop back home. How you the king of LA when Cube is home? How you bang in LA after Nip is gone? Mr. Smith, yeah, I'm nice with the gift. Two, the double entendres got those two. Your wisdom, knowledge, that I'm king too. I'm sorry I met the other side of you. That's the gift and the curse. I'm Christ from birth. From the hearse to the dirt. Fake niggas claim hurt. So I stay on my bullshit like I'm dirt. And never shy. Let my feelings fly. Let's go. Cause we all die. Like your beds. Nigga, I'm here. Only fear I have is truth not be told. We all get old. It's choke, no joke. Y'all already know. Let's go. Choke, no joke. You already know. Learn from mistakes out right now on all platforms. This for the mixtape. The 50-year-old platinum virgin. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
Welcome to AMC Theater 11. Enjoy your show.
Yo, Lee. Run the rail. Choke, no joke, no joke. You know what it is.
Hey, son.
Hi, when are you coming home?
Mommy's not coming home.
Why?
Goodbye.
Where are you? Where are you?
Mommy's not coming home.
Why?
Tell Daddy I'm not coming home.
Why?
Goodbye. Bye. What am I supposed to do? Tell this 10-year-old boy I'm getting some new dick or something?
Check. Yeah. Choke, no joke. Know what it is. This go out to the desperate housewives in New York, Atlanta, Texas, California, Miami, Mississippi. I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. Yeah. I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. It was quick how it happened. We was just chatting, had a lot in common. I kept a laugh in the department in which a man was lacking. He was the king of the ship. Somehow I became captain. My swag on platinum, all my gold D just smacking. Then phone sex had happened. Things went left. Our common interest in sex, something like Little Kim and Hugh F. We knew if we met, it would be electric. Then the day came and we met. It was beyond my dream, a dream so sweet it made me scream. It was like a dream, knew why he made a queen. I wanted to find Marty McFly and use that time machine. Run up in the church, create a scene. Object to that wedding and give her my ring like I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. Yeah. I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. I fell harder than a mother, my number one lover. Yo, under them covers was like no other. Had everything in common. I used to love her until he bugged her. Bitch motherfucker, device in the whip, had to call it quits. Hit us like a brick, we both sick. Now she got dilemma, like Kelly the kids. I'm calm, wish I never met the chick. Missing her seafood and our trips. Sex in the soul house, we did that shit. Sexing on the tent, we risked that shit. We both freaky as fuck, I miss my chick. Well, never mind, there to take him off of mine. Kindred spirits, just the wrong time. Get divorced, you can hit my line. Until I repent, it's next lifetime. Like, I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. Yeah. I never thought in my life, not me, I fall for another man's wife. Oh God, I know that it sound trite. I'm caught up with a desperate housewife. Joke, no joke, you already know. It's that south side of Eden Wall flow. We out of here. This go out to all the PJs around the world. Either war.
Nah, way back.
Sound
back.
Niggas and guns. Yeah. Let's go. Choke, no joke. It's all the projects in the world. You ever been to a project barbecue? Yes, I have. Played the half. Extra hours for more cash. To go half on that coke and yak. Get to the block cause it get packed. Little babies, adults or crack. We feed them too, we don't pump like that. Plus it's like us, giving back. And they sales is the reason why we got so many packs of chicken. The hood not missing. Muslim said don't put pork on chicken. They got on Al about that, they thought he didn't listen. He wasn't been touched from them government missions. But they forget that when they bite that chicken, this is when the players get knocked, cause it's hot out. The sexy show out, glowing with the back glass on the mouth. She see you with the next chick, then she them out. Hustlers them out, just for nothing. Bustin' for attention, just dumbin'. Cause we know y'all ain't bustin' nothing. You ever been to a project barbecue? Kids and sprinklers, deep thinkers, playing chess, our heads on your left, blowing gas. My Puerto Ricans playing handball, Miguel and Heck on the court. Niggas wanna be like Mike. Life's a box of chocolates, you're riding a pipe, playing the bench. Kids on the fence, watch your popo, chase Prince. Don't dismiss your brethren for dumb shit. Keep it gangster, no shit where you live. 12-1 right up in your crib. You never been nowhere, where else could you live? What's that? That's gangsta boo coming through. Throwing it up, fucking his muffler up. Scraping the concrete with Willie's so sweet. He got his scores by the chief of police. From 233rd, Laconia to Gun Hill Road. Got knocked, didn't tell like Joe.
Period.
Okay.
Choke, no joke, you know what it is. Let's go, let's go. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to these fakes and these frauds. They don't own cars with Lamborghini doors. When ice yo cut, it's back to the store. I was born in the Jackson, this shit was hell. The place where I saw soldiers fall. Some simply for nothing at all. Some cause they lived on the other side of the wall. Now this might sound crazy, love what the hood made me. Poverty made me far from lazy. This ain't the place you wanna raise your babies. Young girls out here thinking they lazy. Nose powdered white, they brain all hazy. Ask them what they wanna be, they look at you crazy. These young cats out here looking more angry. I was just like them, sometimes the music made me act other than myself, no influence lately. Cause behind the scenes, they not living greatly. And I found out that most of these cats never sold jacks or the penitentiary. Let's go. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to the face and the frauds. They don't own cars and Lamborghini doors. The hype yo cut is back to the store. I inspire y'all to all want more. Don't listen to the face and the frauds. They don't own cars and Lamborghini doors. The hype yo cut is back to the store. They not selling drugs, they really not thugs. If they was, where are the slugs? Do you see them when you cop your drugs? Pulling up with S.to.B in the front? Nah, it's not what they got, it's what they want. In the jungle, we all on the hunt. It's chemical. It's chemical beats. Stay the hell. Don't follow those cats. Choke, no choke. You already know. This go out the Grey Go. Now I'm out the game. Feel good, not pitching in the hood. And I really don't think I could go back to selling crack and stashing them packs in my ass. I maintain weekly money the same. And nah, I don't go through them games. Niggas testing my brain with them triple beams filled with change. Pot crack, grams in the drain. Get hit with the fake exchange. Like baking soda flour. After being on Broadway for hours. Getting knocked, being back at start. Niggas testing if I got heart. Pushing me to pop some shots. Just stop the ball before it starts. Old lady with the binocs. Give description to cops. Why they try to tear us apart with that good cop, bad cop. I ain't going for the game, he ain't tell you a thing. Your partners with them saying the same. You tighten them cuffs till you see veins. Stop fucking yanking them down. They might fuck you if you ain't sane. And nigga never sniff cocaine. And I don't care what game or part of the area you claim. Gray Scarface, you must be insane. Nigga, Tony fucked the boy's Dane. His right hand man, he's slain to get his back blown out the game. Do it on the low, let nobody know. No pillow talk to home. And if he step on your toes, don't bust a blame. Cause everybody will know. Or get out the game. They say that change is good. It's a lot of stress in the hood. And I know if you could, you would. Get out the game, but you stuck in that time. Where the nigga in public like shine. For a witness to drop a dime. For self-defense, do or die. Celebs doing time. Mike Vick on the child line. Even Kobe, Jason Williams, Gage, kick like Shinobi. Little Kim for perjury. You know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up, right? Let's go. When it's late night, make sure it's packed tight. And when you take those flights, never eye the Jake in sight. And shake them fuckers when they dead to right. Making a fifth go rumble. Because of stick up trouble. Blasting your gap for a cat, for in fact, with some crap that don't involve you. For some dudes that don't love you, all they wanna do is pawn you until you go down. And don't do shit for you when you lock down. Or even when you touchdown. But they tell you to go to the pound. The same block that gave you a pound. Years in the pen, now you live it again. What mind state are you in? When you back it for 10. And you was just waiting for a teen to come home to relive it again. Entrapment should be a sin. The way they reel us in, roll us to a revolving door to bring us in. This shit is insane. The game is insane. The game will fuck with your brain. That's why I'm out the game. Yeah. Just get out the game, man. I know they told y'all there's only 2 ways out. Jail and death. Nah, just get out, nigga. Just get out, man. It's easy. Just walk away, nigga. If they care about you, they'll let you go. If you in the game and you want to go and get a better life, and they won't let you walk away, what do that say? Get out the game, nigga. You want to sleep easy, nigga. Look at these rap niggas, nigga. You want to be the next rapper, trapper, clapper, federal indictment rapper, huh? I keep telling y'all niggas, man, get out the game, man. Choke no joke. Grego, you already know. The beast is chemical, baby. That's why I'm out the game. Stay the hell. Don't follow those cats.
Choke no joke. Make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all have a good night. I hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. All right. Make sure y'all follow me, Choke No Joke Official on Instagram, Choke No Joke on TikTok. You know what I mean? Holla at me. I'll see y'all in the morning for the morning walk. Peace and love. Good night. Thank you to my moderators for holding me down. Much love.